I just wake up in the morning and I yell a lot, even though it's way too early. It's fun though. Wake up, wake up, wake up! What is up? What is up? Wake up, wake up, wake up. How's my mic sound this morning? Hope everything is sounding good. Got all my settings done, and it was a mad scramble. It's one of those situations where you wake up early, you get a bunch of stuff done, and then you're scrambling at the last minute. But yeah, we're here. Shout out to my guy, Coach Carp. Got the shirt on. I'm here in uniform, my man. Let's say what's up to everybody in the chat real quick, and then I'll tell you guys what's going on today. So let's see here. First in the building was my guy, Jared Martin. What is up, my man? Good having you here as always. Next up is, let's see here. He says, let's go. Next up, we got my guy, Carlos. Carlos with the dad jokes early says, Jared, the really bored gets the perm. Okay. That's amazing. Then he corrected it. Okay. That's amazing. My guy, Matthew Porter says, good morning, y'all. All right. What's up, Matt? Let's see here. Of course, I had to chime in. If you're watching on YouTube, you get to see the special emojis that you get if you are a channel member. And I dropped, so basically I dropped the mic. I had a little mic drop emoji. I used the I see you. There you go. So if you want to check it out, if you are checking this out on audio and you want to see what the emojis look like, just go check out the live stream replay on YouTube and you'll be able to see all the special emojis that the channel members get. And Carlos said, see, Carlos, you done started. Said, it's today the day that John wears the butterfly outfit. Stay tuned. I'm going to tell you right now, Carlos. I feel like I keep on telling you this and you keep on not listening. Once again, I'm going to have to, show you that this ain't what you think it is. This is a butterfly-free zone. It has been, it always will be a butterfly-free zone. Okay? All right. Now, let's see here. Jared wants, let's see, Matt wants, Jared wants to know if Matt's still lifting with that ankle injury. Yeah, I'm seeing Matt's got a busted wing a little bit, but I'm seeing your Instagram post, seeing you still lifting, doing some upper body work. So that's pretty cool. School's about to start though. So I hope you're healthy enough to get around before school starts, man. See here. Said all aces on the mic check. Thank you. Somebody let me know that my mic sounds nice. Like salt and pepper. I always want to make sure my mic sounds nice. Let's see here. My guy Eric Eccles. Good morning. He's checking in from work as always. All right, good. Hey, I'd rather you be checking in from work than you checking in from the road, man. Those long drives are no joke. Tattoo saying, hey, my man, Matt Welch, you got a cameo. I don't know. I didn't clear this with you beforehand, but you do have a cameo here on, or your gym has a cameo here on this morning's show, because we'll be talking to my guy Cody from Backyard Shreds, and so I'm gonna get him to rate your gym build, and we're gonna do it live. So let's see what he thinks about your gym build. All right, and since I brought up my guy Cody from Backyard Shreds, let's go ahead and tell you guys what's on today's show. So we've got, see here, we got a packed show, got 3 different guests. All right, and so let's go ahead. As always, we're going to shout out each time zone when it's 6 a.m. for them. Already gave the shout out to the East Coast. Then second hour, we're gonna have let's finish the first hour. So we're shout out everybody. We're gonna have news and other things, including some good news for a change. And then we're gonna have, of course, and we're gonna follow up good news with the recliner of rage, because I know y'all enjoy laughing at my pain. Then at the second hour, 7:05, we're gonna have Thomas Lonsdale joining us from the UK or wherever he happens to be right now. He's on vacation, so they don't tell him where he is. But Thomas Lonsdale is going to join us to talk about running ultramarathons and what it was like to prepare for his first physique competition. I'm interested to see. Everybody says that preparing for a physique competition is really difficult because of the dieting and all that. So I'm actually interested to see how Tom compares how difficult that was to running 100-mile races. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, that's at 7:05 Eastern time, 6 a.m. Central. Then third hour, 8 a.m. Eastern time, well, 8:05 a.m. Eastern time, 6:05 a.m. Mountain time. Cody Lutz from Backyard Shreds will join us to talk about how he's making at-home fitness accessible to everyone by helping people set up home gyms in their backyards. Basically, he's helping people set up backyard sheds, and we'll talk all about his business model and how he's doing that. Then the final hour, we're going to be catching up with Kettlebell sport champion Tiffany Longcor and finding out about her new training program that she's just released. It's called the Gamer's Guide to Fitness. We're going to find out if nerds can level up with a Turkish getup. So we're going to find out. All right. So got a lot of stuff here. If this is your first time checking out my show, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please do me a favor. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers. And I promise you that the YouTube algorithm does not understand home gym content. So I need you to do two things for me. Number one, if you have, well, three things. Number one, if you haven't already done it, I need you to hit that like button. Then I need you to subscribe. Help me get to the 50,000 subscribers. Once you've subscribed, I need you to share this video or any other video from my channel with somebody who you know who enjoys home gym content, because I'm telling you, YouTube does not understand home gym stuff. It understands fitness and it understands like home related things, home decor. You'd be amazed. Well, you may not be amazed, but I'm amazed by all of the stuff that I see because I watch a bunch of home gym content on YouTube. I get all kinds of weird things in my feed on YouTube just because YouTube is like, well, if you like this, that's in the house. Well, maybe you like videos about shovels because you use those in the house too. Yeah, spoiler alert. I'm not interested in videos about shovels, but whatever. So help me get over that hump and help your friends get over that hump if they like home gym content by sharing this video or any other video with from my channel with them. Then if you'd like to support the channel and help us improve our equipment, get more stuff to improve the quality of what we provide for you, I need you to click that join button so that you can support the channel. Joining the channel only costs 99 cents a month, and there's some other benefits for you guys too. So let's tell you about those benefits right now. Hey, I don't want you to just watch this video. I need you to like, subscribe, and if you're already a subscriber, I want you to join our channel for 99 cents a month so you can help us improve YouTube for the home gym community. Okay, back to the video. All right, so there you go. Like I said in the video, 99 cents a month. There's a join button in the bottom corner. Just click that join button. You'll get a bunch of emojis and my heartfelt thanks. And we also have some video content that only members get to see, as well as you guys get first access to all of the videos that we upload on YouTube. So go ahead, click that join button. All right, let's check out the comment section before we jump into our first segment here. Carlos said, we don't laugh at your pain, referring to the recliner of rage. We're your support system. Yeah, that's it. The problem is I see y'all laughing. So I would believe that if I didn't see y'all laughing. All right. Carlos said, I can't wait for the Gamer's Guide to Fitness. Yeah, man, just hang around. I'm telling you, Tiffany is a gamer herself. So I'm interested to see how she says she's themed it to go along with what gamers respond well to. So I cannot wait to see this. Jared says, I'm not a gamer, but I am intrigued. I do play video games. I am into it. So that really caught my eye. Plus, I actually was a guest on Tiffany's podcast, which released this past Monday. So it was weird because I'm used to interviewing people. And there's a point in the interview where I actually have to catch myself because I was about to interview her on her own show. So anyway, but now she's here and I'm, we're ready to go. Order has been restored. I'm back in the interview seat. And let's see here. Matt says, I had some exciting news. I got an affiliation with Beast Farm. So if anyone wants Eddie Hall's protein, hit him up for a discount code. Man, congratulations, man. Matt, that's awesome. Especially, I know you've been working hard for a long time, training in your shed, doing strongman and powerlifting stuff. So I love seeing you guys level up. And that is awesome. Everybody go check out @tattooed_saying. I assume you've got the link to your affiliate code in your description on Instagram. So everybody go check out @tattooed_saying and show Matt, my guy Matt, some support like he supports us. My guy Jonathan, No Fake Channel, checking in. back from his tour. Didn't you tour like some sort of protein factory where you got to see all their herbalism on display, Jonathan? Jonathan gets the VIP treatment wherever he goes, which is only right. That's only right. And Matt says, yeah, okay. So Matt said, yeah, the link and the codes are all there. So go ahead, go to @tattooed_saying on Instagram, and you'll be able to get all that stuff to be able to get yourself hooked up with all the stuff from Beast Farm. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our first segment of the day. It's news and other things. All right, so this first segment, I might as well call it the Kyle Divine segment because we have two different stories related to Kyle. First thing is, I was watching the Do You Even Lift Bro podcast, and I linked it in the description for this video. So if you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, or if you're watching the replay here on YouTube, you can see it. And then also if you're checking out the replay on Podbean, I'm going to have the description in the link in the description as well. So wherever you're consuming this, the link is there. But anyway, so I'm watching Do You Even Lift Bro podcast because it was one of the shows that I watch when I'm training. And he says something that blew my mind. So basically, Major Fitness created something that looked remarkably like one of Kyle's ideas. So it looked like Major Fitness stole one of Kyle's ideas, right? That's bad enough. But then they turned around and reached out to him and asked him, because, obviously he's got a big following. They reached out to him and asked him to be one of the people promoting their idea, which was an idea that they stole from him in the first place. I've heard a lot of things. I've been to 20 countries, I think. I've been to 20 countries, been to multiple cities here in the United States. I've seen a lot of stuff, but I have never in my life seen anything like that, where you come up with an idea, somebody steals your idea, then they come back to you and ask you to help them promote the idea that you stole. Actually, that's not true. That happened to LL Cool J. I was watching an interview he did where he said, so for those of you kids who don't know, LL Cool J made a song called Rock the Bells. And I was probably like 14, 15 years old when it came out. So he had a song called Rock the Bells. Really good song. It's one of those timeless classics, right? So then there's a concert series called Rock the Bells. And this was not affiliated with LL. And he said, he was in the interview, he said that he saw it and he's like, you know what? All right, fine. I'll let you guys, I'm not going to try to hold anybody else back, even though they basically stole his IP, right? But the people from Rock the Bells reached out to LL and invited him to come perform on the tour, and they gave him like the minimum. They offered him the minimum they would offer any act, right? And he's like, hold on, you not only stole my IP, but now you're going to insult me by having me come on like I'm just some regular Joe, not the person who you got the idea from. And so he went and he took his IP back. But so now Kyle Divine can officially say that he and LL Cool J, James Todd Smith himself, Kyle and LL Cool J got something in common. But I just thought that was crazy, man. They stole his idea and reached out to him to get him to promote the idea that they stole from him. That's what a time to be alive. You're going to hear me say that multiple times today. What a time to be alive. But on the plus side, so Jonathan said, maybe it's time for Kyle to patent his ideas before putting them on social media. The thing is, man, if you think about it, that sounds great. Patenting ideas sounds great. But it costs like 15 grand to get even a utility patent. Because I had an idea for a cup holder. This is a nice little tangent story time with Uncle John. But I had an idea for a cup holder before Massonomics came out with the drink spotter, right? And the biggest hurdle I had was basically trying to get a patent for it. And as a result, while I'm trying to go through the patent process, Massonomics released their drink spotter. And I was just like, there's really no point in me releasing my product because theirs is already out there. I just don't like looking. I don't even like looking like I'm copying somebody. I guess I could, my design doesn't look anything like theirs. So I could still come out with it. But now my hurdle is finding somebody to actually produce it and get it in production, all that kind of thing. But in any case, my point is, it's not like you can just apply for a patent like you apply for a trademark. Getting a trademark is fairly inexpensive in the grand scheme of things, but a patent costs a ton of money. And then there's the cost to defend the patent, because you still got to go to court and pay money to defend your patent. So it's not quite as simple as that. Carlos said, lowballing LL. Yeah, man, nobody's immune to it. The thing about it is, they can't even, so Major Fitness can pretend that they didn't know that Kyle came up with the idea first. They can't pretend they don't know who Kyle is. Okay. And I will say that I think it's hilarious that the people who came up with Rock the Bells, actually, what I think happened, and probably what happened in the case of Major Fitness too, is they hire these people who are like influencer managers, right? Social media managers. And they're basically people who might be like college students who just happen to understand SEO and how the internet works. And they don't know, because they're young, they don't necessarily know some college student doesn't have a house, so they're not going to know who Kyle is, right? Because home gyms typically are more popular with people who have homes. Okay, college student have a home, they live in a dorm or they have an apartment, right? So you get some college student who doesn't know anything, and to them, they're just looking for influencers. Oh, he's got a big platform, and they reach out, and then that's the kind of thing that happens. And I bet you the exact same thing happened with LL Cool J. They're like, oh, hey, this guy's on NCIS, he's pretty popular, let's get him on here. Oh wait, he's a rapper too, let's get him on here. Never even realizing that he's the one that actually created the song, the whole Rock the Bell song. So Jonathan said you can do a conditional patent for less. Yes, and 50 Cal Fitness is a great resource who have done that. I mean, yeah. Now, let me also say that I'm sure Kyle has his reasons for not patenting stuff. That's word is a lot harder to say than I thought it would be. But anyway, I'm sure Kyle has his reasons for not getting a patent on things. And I've put approximately zero energy into figuring out why he doesn't get patents. I just know that the patent process is long and involved. And yes, you can get a conditional patent for less, but then you still have to spend the time between the condition. The conditional patent doesn't last that long. So you do your conditional patent, then you got to spend time developing the product. And so if he doesn't have the resources to actually develop his idea, then one of the things that you have to demonstrate when you go to court over the patent is you have to demonstrate that you've lost money. So one of the things that is required is you have to actually put your product up for sale, right? So if you're not making money off of said item, how can you demonstrate that you've lost money because this other company has a similar product? Okay, so that's all involved in it too. But that's about as far as I can go down that rabbit hole, because that's about the extent of what I mean. I know a few bits and pieces here and there, but like I said, hey, it's Kyle's business to run, and I hope it works out for him. All I'll say is, if you guys want to check it out, I did put the link to that video in the description for this one, so you guys can go check it out. And yeah, I just thought it was wild. Now, on the other hand, in other much more pleasant news, looks like Jammergate is over, and that's a good thing. The full video is up on Garage Gym Radio, and again, I've got that link in the description for this video as well. But I actually watched it on the treadmill before the show this morning, and basically Kyle sat down with Vendetta, and then the founders and the president of PRX, and then Jake Jaworski was there. Jake was moderating this panel. So it's basically a video where they kind of air out, I don't want to say they air out the differences because it sounds like they argued. Instead, they each kind of states their case and briefly, and how they each arrived at that point. But by the time that, we're like 5 minutes into the video, you can tell that it's obvious that they've come to a resolution. And the thing that I think is even more positive about it is that not only did they come to, it looks like they've come to a resolution, but they're also going to collaborate in the future. And the most exciting part of it is that there's now a pathway for Kyle to help other people who reach out to him, because a bunch of people reach out to him all the time for help with their ideas and trying to get their ideas to market. He said in the past he didn't have a way to help people get their products in front of people who could actually help them with the production side of things. And now it looks like he may have a pathway to do that. So out of something that was potentially uh, bad, we've got some serious potential for helping other creators who may just be, they've got like one idea they're working on in their basement or their garage, and there's now is a pathway potentially for them to get those ideas to market. Not just the people who reach out to Kyle. PRX says people reach out to them all the time with ideas, but they don't have time to kind of like, every idea isn't a good idea. So there's got to be like a little bit, they like for you to show up, just like Shark Tank. Is ironic because PRX was on Shark Tank. So when you bring the idea to them, they kind of want to make sure that your idea has legs before they go sinking a bunch of money into it. And so this is a good way for them to kind of like filter through the stuff that is, it's going to sound mean, but it's worth bringing to market. And also making sure that this idea that somebody's bringing to them isn't something that they've copied from somebody else, because that's also a danger as well. So anyway, the link to that video about, it's called Jammergate, and the link to that video is in the description for this one as well. All right, next news item, the Garage Gym Games are coming. All right, from what I understand, Garage Gym Games are going to be coming at next, they potentially are going to debut at the 2025 Home Gym Con. And the limit of my insider, quote unquote, insider information is what I saw in the Home Gym group chat that is on Facebook that Jake started. And so Jake basically wants to have, I'm just going to read a quote from him. He said, it's basically a hybrid athlete competition that morphs many of the other strength sports into one. So the first question I have is, how is this different from CrossFit? Because that's what CrossFit was or is. It's multivariate fitness, right? So CrossFit merged powerlifting, strongman, let's just call it indoor endurance. So rowing, kettlebell endurance, kettlebell sport, things like that. All of them morphed into one, gymnastics, tumbling, all that morphed into one sport called CrossFit. So I'm interested to see how the Garage Gym Games will be different from what CrossFit is already. So I'm interested in that. The other thing I want to know from everybody who's watching is, if this does become a thing, Jake is inviting people to compete. And from what I understand, you're going to be able to submit like an entry, because he's going to limit who's actually competing in it, because he wants to get the very best. But so that is similar to CrossFit in that you have a CrossFit Open, anybody can be in it. And then only the people who qualify at each level make it to like regionals and then get onto the actual CrossFit Games. So if this becomes a thing, what events would you like to see in it? Either for you to watch or for you to actually compete in. So go ahead and drop a comment in the live chat if you're watching this live. And if you're watching this on replay on YouTube, go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section as well, because I really am interested to see what you guys would be interested in competing in. So go ahead and let me know that. The other thing I want to know, because I've already seen some suggestions, right? What I want to know is, whenever something like this comes up, why does everybody always suggest home gym game events that are related to what I consider to be the absolute worst parts of home gym ownership, right? So there's not like a bench press for reps. Nobody says bench press for reps. Everybody says, I mean, and to be honest, it's kind of corny, right? But it's like, oh, we should have an event for moving equipment. I'm like, nobody enjoys moving equipment. There should be the event related to disassembling and assembling racks. Nobody enjoys doing that. Or if you do something wrong with you, that's not fun. Part of competing is it's got to be something that's fun. All right. I'm not trying to do that. That's like, I wouldn't even enter a Lego assembly competition. So much less would I want to do a power rack assembly contest. But, maybe that's just me. Maybe y'all want to go and have a timed event where you assemble and disassemble power racks. You can count me out, and I don't even want to watch it. I don't even want to watch that. So I just don't understand that. So why do people, whenever somebody asks for suggestions or stuff like that, why do people always suggest the absolute least interesting, most onerous, that's your word for the day, kids, most onerous, the worst parts of home gym ownership? But anyway, if you guys are interested, go ahead and check out, once again, go check out Garage Gym Radio. And I've got the link to that in the description for this video as well. All right. So let's see here. We've got some suggestions coming. Here we go. Carlos says the glove lifting event. Boo. No gloves. No gloves, Carlos. I told you we're going to toughen you up, man. I've got a 3-step plan that I'm putting together for you. It says bench press to failure event. I can see that's more like it. I can kind of see that. That's kind of like what they do at the animal cage, where you basically take your body weight and you rep it out, see who can get the most reps, and you basically just rep to failure. I remember a guy, I think the most I've ever seen somebody do body weight bench for reps was like 40 repetitions with their body weight, because the guy was a 400-pound bencher and he only weighed like 130 pounds. So it was, yeah, he's a short guy, mostly chest. So that sounds like it'd be pretty fast. And for most people it would be, but yeah, body weight bench press for reps. He weighed himself. He was like 130 something pounds, maybe 140 pounds. And then he did like 40 reps in the animal cage. And I was actually standing right there watching him do it. I actually videoed it for him. So yeah, my guy Eric, shout out to Eric wherever he is in the world right now. Haven't talked to that dude in a minute, but anyway, so you just took me down memory lane, Carlos. All right, next segment. Bayfronthealth.com says that working out at home is more dangerous. Now, I just want you guys to know that Bayfronthealth.com they're not really on my radar for home gym information. You know what I'm saying? They're not. They're just not. Until I saw this come across my feed earlier this week, I didn't know that Bayfront Home. I'm sorry. Well, there you go. I just messed up their name because I don't know anything about them. I didn't know that BayfrontHealth.com even existed. Okay. Nevertheless, apparently they are an authority to somebody. And so they've asked them what they think. And what they think is that home, it's one of those generic home versus gym workout articles. Okay. And, I'm scrolling through there, this is all the TLDR stuff, right? This top part, in case you guys don't know, so when you're reading a blog, they put all the stuff that's at the very top. They call it TLDR because it's too long, didn't read. They try to front load it just like you do with a newspaper, because most people aren't going to scroll down to the very bottom and read the entire thing. So the top thing, this would be their H1 heading, pros and cons of working out at home. Okay, yeah, whatever. So I was basically, only reason I even read this is because I was looking for a news article to talk about during this show. Normally I skip past stuff like this, right? So skip. And then I said, I found the part that got my attention, and that was in the pros and cons. And the cons are, there aren't trainers at home like there may be at the gym. The risk of injury is greater, so it's best to stick to exercises you're comfortable with. The risk of injury is greater. All right? Cue the car noise. What? You seriously? But okay, so if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, you may or may not have this accessible to you if you're watching on LinkedIn, but there, everybody raise your hand, use the hand raise emoji if you think that working out at home is inherently more dangerous than working out in a public gym. Because having worked in a public gym for 5 years after college, and I technically worked in more than one because when I first started doing it as a personal trainer, so I was working in one gym in the morning and then another gym in the evening, right? And um and then, well, one gym in the morning, one gym in the afternoon, and then the same gym where I worked in the afternoon as personal trainer, I would then work the front desk at that same gym. Yeah. So that was life after college. I did that for 2 years, and then I got promoted at one of the gyms, so I was able to let the other gym go, and I had a full-time job working at that gym. But anyway, my point is, I worked in the gym, in public gyms, for 5 years when I first got out of college, and I refuse to believe that working out at home is inherently more dangerous than working out in a public gym. And I'm just going to tell you right now, first things first, people try dumb stuff at public gyms because they're trying to impress the other people around them. Okay. I've some, I know people like to show up these memes and all that other kind of stuff, somebody at home doing stuff. But if you look at gym fails, just go to gym fails on Instagram, right? Most of the gym fails you see are in public gyms. I There is no, thank you. All right. So Jared Martin says, I would not agree with that assessment about less safety in a home gym. Just use your spot arms. First of all, when you train in a home gym, most people who lift weights in a home gym set up some sort of safety equipment because they understand that they're by themselves, right? When people work out in a public gym, we have a false sense of, well, not we, I don't trust none of these people, but people who work out in a public gym have a false sense of security because they'll ask some random stranger, you don't even know that dude, hey man, you come spot me on the bench. He based off of whether he's big or not, right? He looks strong enough to pull the bar off of me, so let's go ahead and ask him to do it. You don't know if that dude is, tweaking. You don't know if you don't know if he on this. You don't know what's going on with that dude, right? And I'm gonna just tell you right now that I have seen more people get hurt bench pressing in a public gym with somebody spotting them. The spotter gets distracted, and then the bar falls on the person. Then I've seen people get hurt bench pressing in a home gym with spotter arms set up. I also have seen people, heck, I remember I was working in a public gym and I saw this dude load up the leg press with way more weight than he could handle. Way more weight than he could handle because he knew other people are around. And he's like, he told us afterwards, he said, I figured if I couldn't do it, y'all could just come and get it off of me. So he ended up pinned in this thing because it took like 6 of us to lift it up and then pull, and then 2 of us held it up while everybody else was pulling the plates off. I think he had like 7 plates on the leg press, on one of those 45-degree leg presses. And he had to look, I was like, in my head, I'm like, okay, you know how 5 plates felt, right? Why would you? There's no way I believe that he did like 5 plates and it was easy, and then he went to 6 plates and he just couldn't move it at all, right? So to me, it's like, all right, so you did 5 plates, it had to be pretty difficult, and you still decided to add another 90 pounds. Like, come on, man. Seriously? So he's pinned it. I mean, he's like sandwiched in there. I was, doing weighted yoga. All right. He looked like he's in the, what's that old wrestling move, a small package? And he had to stay like that, experiencing what it was like to be back in the womb while we took the weight off of him. All right. I've never seen any, well, first of all, most people don't have leg presses in their home, 45-degree leg presses in their home gym anyway. But those who do, typically tend not to overload it because they're like, I'm the only one here. So they don't do that dumb junk. I'm telling you, there's no way. Common sense, I refuse to believe it. So hold up. Carlos says, I agree that working out at home can be considered more dangerous, but ego lifting at a public gym can be catastrophic. So kinda. Nah, ain't no kind of no. I'm telling you, I started working out in 1993, and out of the injuries, and I've seen a lot of social media posts. Okay, I probably see more social media posts than everybody who's watching this over the course since Instagram was invented, and even before that. And I'm telling you that most of the gym fails where people are getting hurt occur in public gyms because people have a false insecurity because there's other people around and there are people around who they're trying to impress, and that's where they get hurt. All right. Not to mention, most competitions occur in public gyms and hotels or whatever. So again, other people around. It's in public. People don't do dumb junk at home on as great a scale as they do in public gyms. There's just no way. I just refuse to believe that. I just refuse. I absolutely refuse to believe that. Plus, the other side note about the thing where you get the random spotters is, how much do you think that college student who's making minimum wage working the front desk, how much do you think he really cares about your safety? You're like, oh, well, they got somebody on duty. You think that dude really cares about your safety? He's there trying to figure out, first of all, he's scrolling through his own Instagram feed. Then in between that, he's checking to make sure his t-shirt is tight enough. All right. And then he's worrying about, he's talking to girls, trying to figure out come on, man. He does not care about your safety, or she. I'm trying to be, I'm all for gender equality. I don't think that the women who work there care about your safety that much either. They're just, no, man, there's no. Their function, and I'm telling you this, so I took classes when I was working in public gym. They spend the majority of the training classes for those positions teaching you about cleaning the gym. They say we want to make sure that you clean the gym after each shift, right? I don't mean after each shift where you're working, but so the morning crowd comes in, they want to make sure that you clean the gym after the morning crowd to get it ready for the lunch crowd, like wiping down the benches and all that kind of stuff, right? They care about that. They care about you restocking the bathroom, making sure that there's paper towels, there's toilet paper in the bathroom, the hand sanitizer in the bathroom. Very, very little time is spent. Well, when I say very little, zero time is spent in teaching you how to spot somebody properly in the squat, the bench, anything where somebody could use a spot. Zero. Okay. Instead, they expect that you already know how to do that when you get the job. Very little time is spent on situational awareness, how to do all this cleaning and all this other busy work that they give you while at the same time still maintaining awareness of what's going on in the gym so that somebody does get hurt, you can run out there. Okay. And the first aid class doesn't exist. I had to go take a first aid class. I took a CPR class from the Red Cross. I took a first aid class from the Red Cross so that I would have that information because they don't teach it in those certifications. So again, I tell you, you telling me that lifting in a public gym is safer because there's somebody there, I call BS all day about that. I call BS about that all day. Matt says, I've seen so many injuries in competitions. It's all public gyms. Coincidence? I think not. I'm just telling you, that's what it is. It is what it is. So, all right, let's so we had 39 after. We got about 5 minutes. I'll go ahead and I'll tell you guys. I'm not sure that I have time to tell you the tales from my inbox before we have our first guest. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to go to Recliner of Rage. And then if I have time later on in the show, I'll tell you the thing that happened to me with a flow softball, because, that'll be like a extra opportunity for y'all to laugh at my pain. So make sure you stay tuned. But enough of all that fun. Let's get to the rage right now. It's the Recliner of Rage.
It's the Recliner of Rage, 'cause he's not happy.
I am indeed not happy. Today's Recliner of Rage is dedicated to several people who are responsible for the exact same situation. There was cooperative. I'm not sure what the word is I want to use, but I know what the word means that I want to use. But I'm just saying there's a bunch of people responsible for this week's Recliner of Rage. So they're all going to get credit where credit is due. So let's begin. All right. So I ran out of my favorite pre-workout. It is G Code Vice. I'm holding it in my hand. If you're listening to the audio version only, I'm holding it up in a thing of it in my hand. All right. We're going to put this little tub of pre-workout to the side because it's going to come back. It'll be back. Okay. This is important. The point is I ran out of this. Okay. And I ran out of it when it was time for my testing week. So I go through the training program I'm on. Takes you every third week, you test yourself to see where you are. And that's how you know whether you can increase the weight or not. So testing week, you want to take pre-workout. Okay. Or at least I do. Anyway, I ran out before testing week. All right. So that's not good. So I said, all right, you know what? I'm very picky about my pre-workouts normally because you can get stomach upset if you take the wrong one. Sometimes you take one and it can cause you to crash. And I work out before work. And so feeling like you got to crash is not good when you work 12-hour night shifts. Okay. So I said, but you know what? I do have several pre-workouts I've used in the past that I keep, I'm like, all right, well, if I run out of my favorite one, here's my go-to, right? So one of those is 1MR. One, the letter M like Mike, period, R like Robert, period, okay? 1MR. It's been around for a long time, and I've used it. I like the taste. I like the flavor selections, and I like the effect of it on me. So I said, all right, you know what? No harm, no foul. I ran out a pre-workout, and it was between paydays. So basically, I ordered my pre-workout. Well, actually, I don't even order it. I've got it on an automatic delivery thing. But I was between paydays, and by the time I got paid, it wasn't going to get here in time. Okay, so I got paid, and I'm working out that day. So that means I don't have time to order the thing and then whatever. It's not like they overnight it to me. So I was like, we got to go get some. No problem. There's a vitamin shop. Let's go to vitamin shop. So I go to the vitamin shop, right? And here's why I'm mad at Fernando from Vitamin Shop. I don't know if that's his name, but that's what I'm going to call him. Okay. So that's his name from now. Even if I see him on the street, his name's Fernando. So I get to Vitamin Shop. It's raining real bad. My daughter's with me. This is her first time ever in some sort of vitamin shop, right? We walk up in there, go in the jungle. We go to the back looking for pre-workout. And I'm looking at all these unfamiliar things. I'm like, I don't recognize any of this stuff. And some of it looks dang dangerous, okay? We got stuff that's named after weapons. We got grenades, all kinds of stuff, whatever. I don't need all that. I don't need you to explode. I just need something to get me ready for today's workout. So I go to the back. I'm following that back, that entry wall when you first walk in, and it kind of funnels you towards the back, right? I get to the back, pre-workout, bam. Here comes Fernando, pops up with his super tight polo shirt, says to me, excuse me, sir, can I help you? Is there something I can help you find? Well, obviously I'm looking for pre-workout because I'm standing in the pre-workout section, Fernando, but I didn't say that. I'm a nice guy. I said, yeah, man, I'm looking for some pre-workout. I'm looking for 1MR. Fernando says to me, I never heard of it. And then proceeds to walk away and continue with his regularly scheduled life already in progress, and the heck with me. Just leaves me standing right there. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, no problem. Go ahead. And I said, well, let's go. Let's just grab something. And I see something I recognize. So here's why I'm mad at C4 Ultimate, because that's what I bought. C4 Ultimate, this exact can right here. Now, why am I mad at C4 Ultimate? All right. And it's very simple. C4 Ultimate, this is the Hawaiian Punch flavor. I picked this flavor on purpose because I happen to like Hawaiian Punch. But I'm going to tell you, I have been drinking Hawaiian Punch and Kool-Aid and Weilers and all of the analogs for probably 40. On Sunday, it'll be 49 years. I've been drinking Kool-Aid and Weilers and sort of punch flavor drinks in the punch family, okay? This does not taste like Hawaiian Punch. This This thing tastes like warm snot with Sour Patch Kids in it, okay? The only reason I kept it was to show y'all. It's disgusting. I hate it. And so I'm mad at everybody at Vitamin Shop who even had the audacity to stock that garbage on their shelf, okay? So I drank the junk. It's horrible. I said, you know what? Builds character. So at least I was mad when I squatted. Hey, no problem. All right, got it done. But guess what? I ain't going through that the next day. So I said, all right, you know what? I remember they got 1MR at Walmart now. Cool. I head to Walmart. Well, here's why I'm mad at everybody who stocks shelves at the Walmart in Ackworth, Georgia. I get there. Not only do they not have 1MR, they got this stuff. Rise Sports Supplements Bazooka Joe flavor. Oh, that got my attention. I said, okay, Bazooka Joe flavor. I remember Bazooka Joe. I like Bazooka Joe gum. It's not the best gum I've ever had, but it's pretty good. I take it. I try it. I go to my wife because I don't like it. And my wife says, yeah, I made her drink it. But she's more accepting. My wife is more forgiving of things, right? I said, try this. I said, what do you think of this, right? She tries it. She said, what flavor is that? So number one, she didn't even recognize the flavor. Let's start there, right? And I told her what it's supposed to say. I showed her the can. She says, well, I guess it kind of tastes like when Bazooka Joe has been left on the shelf in the store for too long, and then it gets stale, and then you kind of chew it a little bit. And then you've been chewing it for a while, and the flavor's kind of gone away. Okay, it tastes like old stale Bazooka Joe that you've already chewed it. So this tastes like ABC gum, already been chewed, stale gum. All right. Now, remember I told you that this was going to resurface, right? So I'm going through all of that. And in the same conversation where my wife and I are discussing how that doesn't taste like good Bazooka Joe, I turn around to leave her office in disgust, right? Because I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? And I'm here counting the days till my G-code resupply shows up. And what do I see? I see this in her office. And what's on top of it? A potted plant. She's got this in her office. She got a potted plant sitting on it. My pre-work, and it had stuff in it. It's almost full. I look at her and I say, woman, I love you. What is this doing in here? What is this doing in here? She looks at me and says, I thought you gave it to me. I'm not kidding you, she had a potted plant sitting on top of it. So I'm going to blame Fernando for that one as well. And I know you guys may be saying, well, are you blaming your wife for having that in her office and concealing it from you? No, because I got to live here and she's right downstairs. So heck no, we're going to blame Fernando for that too. He don't live here. I don't even care about Fernando. I'm not blaming my wife. On the off chance that I did think that she was wrong, I wouldn't blame her. And no, you are not wrong, baby. In case you're watching this, you're not wrong at all. It's all Fernando's fault because you know what? Something else Fernando could have already asked me. Here's what I think Fernando could have done. He could have said, sir, is there something? Let's just go through the skit, right? I walk in, diddy bop to the back. Sir, is there something I can help you find? I turn around and I say, yeah, man, I'm trying to find some pre-workout looking for 1MR. You know, I never heard of that, but maybe I can find you something. I can help you find something else that we do have in stock. What flavors of pre-workouts do you like? What effect are you kind of looking for? Are you looking for something that gives you a pump, or do you just want something for some added motivation? You want something to help you focus? What exactly are you trying to get? Help me narrow down some stuff. In fact, he could have said a phrase that I've heard other people who actually do care about the customer say. This is the flavor of pre-workout I like. And I like it because this, right? We would have had a conversation. I would potentially have bought something. And then he could even say, well, what pre-workout do you drink now? How long has it been since you had pre-workout? Because that's also a good question to ask too, right? Because the more you've been drinking pre-workout, the stronger the pre-workout is that you're going to need because your body is kind of attenuated to the caffeine, right? Fernando didn't ask me none of that. Fernando didn't ask none of that. He turned around and walked away. And abandoned me. So I'm blaming him for that too. And a special honorable mention Recliner Rage goes to my dog for waking me up at 2 o'clock this morning to go outside, despite the fact that she went outside before we all went to sleep, just like she does every other night, including the nights when I don't have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do a 3.5-hour podcast. She sleeps all night those nights, but tonight she said, no, I feel like I need to get up and go outside. I don't even know what she did out there because she couldn't have been out there long enough to pee. She don't move that fast. She's 17 years old. Ain't no way that she got down the stairs and got back up the stairs that fast. Ain't no dang way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way at all. So she basically woke me up for no dang reason. So special shout out, special honorable mention goes to my dog and Fernando and everybody who stocked shelves at Walmart. And in fact, everybody at C4 that lied and said that their ultimate tastes like Hawaiian Punch, and everybody at Rise Supplements that lied and said that their flavor tastes like Bazooka Joe. You know why? Because I'm mad. It's the recliner of rage.
It's the recliner of rage, 'cause he's not happy.
I'm not happy at all, and I ain't trying to hear none of y'all's reasonableness today in the comments. All I want y'all to do is the routine. If one's mad, we all mad, and we're going to stay mad until the one's not mad anymore, okay? However, Recliner Rage is sponsored by Freedom Fitness. Y'all see that segue? Recliner Rage is sponsored by Freedom Fitness Equipment. That's the only place to go get Garage Gym Life banners, but there's no need to be in the Recliner of Rage when your home gym is outfitted with what you need to achieve your fitness goals. Hit up my guy Ashton. You can literally call him at 980-216-4860. He will hook you up and he will get you a Garage Gym Life banner to make your home gym look as dope as my first guest of the day, who is my guy Tom Lonsdale. So we're going to be meeting Tom right after this. But first, let you guys check out what these banners look like, because I'm dang proud of them. Hey, if you want to support our channel, plus grab the perfect finishing touch for your home gym, go ahead and grab one of our 16-ounce laminated vinyl banners. They are easy to hang and easy to clean with just soap and water, and a great way to show that you represent the Garage Gym lifestyle. So head over to our friends at freedomfitnessequipment.com and order yours today. That's right. So you'll be supporting the channel. You will make your home gym look amazing. Let's go ahead and jump into the comment section, because I know y'all got stuff to say. Okay, I've calmed down now. I'm at a mental place emotionally where I can go back and look at y'all stuff. My guy Tom is backstage waiting. So we'll clean up the chat a little bit first, and then we'll bring Tom on, and we're gonna find out what would make an otherwise normal person put on unicorn mask and run 100 miles. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's go. Oh, here we go. Carlos, there you go, Carlos. That's the kind of support I need. He says, let it out, brother. I feel your pain. But then he says, names have been changed to protect the idiot. Oh, innocent. Nah, you were right the first time. Dang, Fernando. He says, false flavor advertising. I hate that. It's definitely not Hawaiian Punch. I'm telling you right now. It's not Hawaiian Punch. Jared says it's too early for that gross of a description. I'm the one. I don't know why you mad. I'm the one that had to drink the stuff. You know, I'm seriously considering, I was going to throw it away, but now I'm considering keeping it. And if somebody ever is dumb enough to break in my house, I can hold him at gunpoint and force him to drink it. All right. While we wait for the police to get here. So Carlos laughed at Jared. Matt says pre-chewed gum flavor. Yeah. Ain't nobody interested in ABC gum. Okay. That's just not interesting to me. I will say that I've actually taken gum, dropped it in pre-workout, and left it in there to make like my own bootleg pre-workout gum, and it didn't work. ABC, you never heard of ABC gum? Already been chewed gum? Come on, Carlos, we're roughly the same age. He says called Dresman is not being, in fact, don't even bring his name up. If you say his name too many times, he shows up. Fernando, Matt says Fernando didn't even fill up the flower section so John could get his wife a gift. I'm disappointed in Fernando for a lot of things. All right, I don't like anything about Fernando. I don't like it, the way his collar was looking. I don't like how tight his dang golf shirt was. I don't like anything about Fernando right now. Okay, Fernando, you know what? I don't like Fernando. I don't like dudes named Fernando. I don't like dudes that look like Fernando. I don't like dudes that look like they like Fernando. And I don't like dudes who look like they're named Fernando. All right? Dang, Fernando. says, Carlos doesn't understand why I'm mad at the dog. Look, man, I was already on the razor's edge. And then she did not help. And we're going to confirm this with Tom because Matt says that all Garage and Life banners come with a 20-pound PR guarantee. And I will tell you that since getting his banner, Tom has completed multiple ultramarathons successfully. Okay. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Okay. I'm just saying. And Matt said, forget waterboarding torture, make the criminals drink. Heck yeah. That's, but see, then I might end up, in certain states, that might be cruel and unusual punishment. That stuff, I'm not even joking though. That both of those are disgusting, man. I'm never putting that inside my cup and definitely not inside my body again. Those things are disgusting. All right. Let's see here. It's 6:56. Let's go ahead and we'll just give an early shout out to the Central Time Zone. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Welcome to the way too early for a Friday morning show. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit subscribe. Trying to get to 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you're watching on LinkedIn or if you're consuming this on Podbean, I need you to stop what you're doing. I'm not about to ruin anything, but stop what you're doing. Go to the YouTube, Garage Gym Life channel, Garage Gym Life YouTube channel, and I want you guys to hit that subscribe button. Help me get to 2,000. Help me get to 50,000 subscribers. Yeah, it's not like I don't say this all the time, right? Help me get to 50,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it. Subscribing is free, and it means the absolute world to me. I can't do it without you guys. All right, so it is time to bring on my first guest of the day, the man himself. You may already be familiar with the unicorn mask that he used to wear. We're going to see if we can get him to bring it back out. He doesn't have it on yet today, but he is one of my favorite people on the whole planet. Show your love, Thomas Lonsdale. What's up, Tom?
Hi, John. You all right, mate?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I don't know why this didn't play. Let's try this again. Hold on a second. It wouldn't play. Look at this. You see that? See that, Carlos? None of this junk was happening until I drank that stuff. Anyway, so
that's quite a glorious entrance.
I know, right? It's horrible. Let's see. Does the other theme play? I'll say let's find it. Nope, that didn't play either. So look at this. Technical glitches. So now let's make sure something's going on here. So you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Can everybody in the chat hear me and Tom? Right? Let's see here. Tattoo saying says wakey wakey eggs and bakey. So obviously, first of all, I blame you for that, Tom, because he's from the UK also. That's the kind of stuff y'all say over there. Wakey wakey eggs and bakey. Tom, have you ever said in your life said that sentence?
No.
So it's not a UK thing. It's just Matt.
No,
Okay.
no,
Matt's just weird. All right.
Yeah, that's just an individual thing.
All right. So Carlos said, welcome, Tom. And we got Sean O'Rourke. He said, Central Time Zone, rolling out of bed. Hey, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And let's see. My guy, Tattoo saying, is giving you a round of applause. And Bazooka Joe strikes again. All right. So a little fun fact for those of you who don't know. Is it Prince Andrew who knows you?
It was Prince Harry.
Prince Harry. Okay. I knew one of them knows you.
I wouldn't say knows me. He's probably forgotten all about me by now.
He stood right next to you.
Yeah, I spent that moment with him. I had my tea with him. That was interesting.
Tom, let's recalibrate your verbiage. He spent that moment with you.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? That is
exactly. True. Look at how he accepted it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm a big deal.
Well, I'm a changed man now. I'm a changed man.
That's true. You certainly don't look anything like you do not look anything like like he did. Like you did when you met him. First of all, you don't have the cute little hat. I make fun of your Girl Scout hat. Now, let's talk about what you've been up to though, man. In fact, when I don't even know how I first ran across you, but I know how most people on my channel first ran across you. This was Tom's intro to the world.
World, my name's Tom. Welcome to my garage gym.
You remember? Hey, I didn't forget.
I do remember that.
Yeah, Tom
How
was one
long
of the
ago was
first.
that now?
Man, that was May 2000. Let me see here. May 2020. Your tour was one of the first ones I posted on my YouTube channel. Because remember, I was posting home. This is before anybody else was doing it. And I was posting home gym tours on my Instagram. And then I said, well, let's start putting them on YouTube, because it was difficult for people to find them on my Instagram because, you know, you have to scroll, whatever. So I said, well, let's put them on YouTube. And so yours was one of the first ones I put up on YouTube. And that's back before I made it simple for people. So you actually had to do all your own editing and everything else. Yeah, it's still, I've got the link for you guys. You guys definitely need to check it out, because the link for that, I can have it in the description for the video here on YouTube and on LinkedIn and all the other places that we're on right now. So people can go ahead and check that out. I highly recommend you guys check it out when the video is over. But
that was when the banner wasn't even a banner then, was it? It was a poster.
Yeah, the garage gym, that banner. Hold on, let's show that again.
My name's Tom. Welcome to my garage gym.
You sound so serious. Look at that. Look at that. That right there. Yeah, it wasn't even a banner.
You can see the crumples in it, can't you?
Yeah, it wasn't even a banner.
I put a barbell through it.
That's how you guys know that Tom he's A1 from day one. Tom has been around for a long time, because he actually was willing to put up that dang poster on his dang wall. I was like, man, we had and now you do all your training in front of a Garage Gym Life banner. You've had the banner for a while too. So yeah, it's holding up. Glad it is holding up pretty well, because I actually use your video as one of the ones that I use to show people when I'm like, look, this is how this thing will last you a long time. I mean, it's inside, but it's still a detached garage. You know, it's not like you have like climate control. So it's lasting pretty well. Now let's just go ahead. I was going to ask you this later, but since we're talking about the gym and all that kind of stuff, how has your home gym evolved since we posted the tour? Like, what kind of changes have you made?
So in terms of the actual structure of the place and the gym, it's still the exact same garage. I would love to have more room, but I'm sure all of us would that have got home gyms. There's much more equipment in there now, though. It is absolutely packed in there. It's quite hard to move sometimes. Got loads more kettlebells, different bars. So I've got a trap bar now, sled in there. Got all sorts, just lots more equipment. But in the future, we're looking at having the whole place torn down and then rebuilt, mainly with more height on it, because I still can't do overhead presses with a barbell because the plates hit the roof. So we'll be looking at getting the place made taller and extended a little bit further out, so I can use it more as a coaching studio as well, because that's something that I'm wanting to push again, rather than it just be me training in there.
Yeah, I saw that you had somebody else come to train with you. But if you extend it, I mean, I don't know, you'd basically be taking away from the amount of space you have to do sled stuff outside, right?
Yeah, but the way we could do it, we could do it without that happening.
Okay.
So I wouldn't lose any of that room.
Okay. Well, you definitely want to stand. So the next hour, you want to stick around after your segment is over, and I let you go. Still stick around, because the guy that I'm bringing on is going to be talking about backyard shed gyms, and he's got different blueprints and all that kind of stuff. So if you have any questions or whatever, you can go ahead and throw them at him in the live chat as well. But
yeah, definitely.
We kind of did everything completely out of order, which is why people come to this show. So let's go back to the top of the questions. I know you, and in fact, I'm determined still that I'm going to meet you in person one day. You're on the list of people I want to meet in person one day, because my wife and I do have the UK on our bucket list to visit. But for the sake of everybody in the chat who's just meeting you for the first time, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit with your background. And especially, I want you to talk about the ways that you compete, because you do a couple of different kinds of competition, a few different kinds. Yeah.
So, I mean, growing up, it's heavily into sports, and it was all team sport. So football, rugby was probably my main one, to be honest. And that's probably where I started getting into lifting weights to try and get a bit stronger for rugby, and just the usual sort of teenage lad approach. I just wanted bigger arms. That was like my one goal at the time. And I just used rugby as like an excuse to lift loads of weights. But I wanted bigger arms. And then later on, I decided I was going to join the army. So then all my training was military orientated, started throwing running in, mixing it in with the strength. It's what makes me laugh now with this whole sort of craze of the hybrid athlete, because I feel like I get it, but I feel like it is just fitness. Like, it's what people have been doing for years. It's nothing new, but now it's been given like a tag. It's become really popular and become a bit of a thing, like functional fitness was not that long ago. I feel like hybrid has taken over that bit now, which I think is great, but it's just everyone always feels the need to have that tag, don't they? So from there, after the military, I decided I was never going to run again because I'd had enough of running. Went on my personal training course, and I was almost sick after doing 10 seconds on a treadmill, and that is no word of a lie. I had to do literally a 10-second sprint, and I got off the thing. I thought my heart was going to explode, and I thought I was going to be sick because all I had done since leaving the army was lift weights. And that's when I decided I needed to make a bit of a change. Next thing you know, ultramarathons became my thing. I bypassed doing a marathon and went straight to a 50k in Keswick, which is in the Lake District. So anyone that's not from the UK will know, won't know how hilly it is around there. It's ridiculous. So I did my first 50k in the lakes, and then that was it. I was hooked. From there, I built up. I did a 40 miler. Then, in fact, I think the 40 miler was my biggest one, and then I went straight into 100 miles, which absolutely ruined me. But I got it done. Did the 100 miles, but I felt like I'd let myself down. So I went back to the year after, did 100 miles again, and I think I did it in... First time I did it, I was 26 hours. Second time I did it in 22 hours. So I made a massive change there. And then since then, I've done another 100 miler, done a few 50 milers, a few more 50Ks, 60 milers, just all sorts of different distances. Then I've kind of gone back to, like I say, the approach I took before I joined the army, lifting and running at the same time. So like we say, the hybrid athlete approach. I've done High Rocks, which is like a fitness race. I've done Afex Games, which is another sort of fitness style race. I've got High Rocks coming up again in a couple of months. Yeah, probably in a couple of months, in about 8 weeks. I've got another High Rocks coming up. And then it's back to going to try and set a PB in the 100 miles on limited run training, because like you've seen lately, I decided to enter the world of bodybuilding. So that was interesting.
That's interesting is one word for it. But you've always been an interesting guy. So let's first of all, I want to once again, because I don't want anybody thinking I make stuff up. All right. So here we go. We're gonna show you guys this right here. And this is my guy. Let's see here. All right, bam. This is the man himself next to the man himself, right? See that right there? So y'all thought I was making it up. All right. That's Prince Harry, and there's our hero right there, right next to him. When you look at that picture, do you ever like if sometimes when I look back at myself and I was in the Marine Corps, the first thing I said, man, I thought I'd do everything. I'm like, man, how stupid I was, man. I was so young. I didn't know how good I had it. Imagine having both knees feel great. You know what I mean? Things like that. Like, I ought to be young again. What do you think of when you see any, not just pictures like this, but any pictures of yourself from back in the Army?
I think sometimes I think I get annoyed at myself at not having pursued what I'm doing now then. I would have been in such a good place in terms of, I was based in Germany. I had loads of times on my hand to train. I could have devoted so much time to ultra training.
That's true, yeah.
But a lot of that time was spent having a few beers here and there.
Yeah.
if I wasn't working, and I'm not gonna. I don't regret any of it, to be honest. I had a great time.
You know, it's funny because that's what a lot of people in the military who are into fitness afterwards say. They're like, man, if only I had taken more, or just anything. It's like you don't realize how much free time you have when you're in the military, because you feel like, oh man, I don't have time to do anything. So you don't want to do anything. It's like you actually have, if you compare it to life as a civilian, like, man, life was great. I had so much free time. I could have gotten so much more accomplished if I'd have just been a little bit smarter with my time.
So much is done for you, isn't it? So much is already laid out. You know exactly what your timings are. You know what time you've got.
You technically don't even have to go shopping for clothes.
No.
If you don't want to, you could just literally wear all the stuff they issue you all of the time, because you technically, well, at least for us, we don't have to leave the base if we don't want to.
Well, to be fair, the way we had it, you got the stuff you got given was barely enough to do your job in.
Oh wow. Well, what I'm saying is like, so like you don't have to have civilian clothing.
Yeah.
Because you could just stay on base. You know, if you wanted to get something to eat, there's a chow hall. There's even like a little down the whatever places you can just go grab something real quick. So you literally don't have to leave base if you don't want to, which means you don't have to have any civilian clothes if you don't want to.
Yeah,
you could literally be in just the stuff they issue you until you get out. Now,
to be fair, I knew a few lads that lived that life.
Yeah, now you are a little bit deranged and psychotic if you do that, but I'm saying you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? So, now something before we go any further, I want you to explain the difference between an ultra marathon, a marathon, and a 5K. You got to understand that a lot of people watching this don't like running. We don't like running. I'm one of them. Okay, I understand the differences, but for the sake of people who don't enjoy endurance stuff, what's the difference between an ultra marathon, a marathon, and a 5K?
So obviously
including not just the mileage difference, but also how you train for them.
Yeah. So like you say, the main difference obviously is the distance. So 5K, you are at what 3.1 miles. Then you're gonna, in race distances, you're going to build up through. You've got 10K. Then it goes into half marathon, so 13.1 miles. Then a marathon, 26.2 miles. And then technically an ultra marathon is any distance that is past 26.2 miles. But they tend to start at 50K.
Okay.
You won't find an ultra that's like, come and run the 49K ultra, something like that. They'll be 50K onwards. I mean, I've gone through all those sort of distances. Well, I mean, I think I went from half marathon to then running my first 50K. I didn't bother doing a marathon just because it wasn't the sort of race that appealed to me. Marathons tend to be road-based. And it's all about time and how fast you can do it. Whereas 50Ks, like I mentioned before, you'll usually be running out in the hills, in the mountains, on the moors, and it'll all be about who can suffer the most, to be honest, out in the hills, because the hills will absolutely, even the top runners, the hills will destroy you. So that's where the fun is for me, testing myself out in the hills.
Fun.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you said you used the word fun, because this I'm gonna show you something, and this relates to a question I have for later. But this isn't, like they said in The Princess Bride, I don't think that's what that word means. This is what you mean by fun. Right? This is, and here's the thing. The remarkable thing is you do this of your own. You do this to yourself.
You do. You pay for it.
Nobody kidnaps you and makes you do this. Go, you look for this stuff. You're like, hey, how can I suffer this weekend? And then you go and you pay people money. And surprisingly enough, you're not the only one out there. That's what would shock me. if I arrange something like that and more than one person shows up, I'm like, what's wrong with all these people? But you and a group of other masochists all show up and do that to yourselves. That right there, you got your 2 walking poles. You got a pack on your back. So it's not that you're just walking extremely far, but you are, because you're definitely not running right there. Okay,
No.
It's not just that you're going extremely far, but you also have a pack on your back. What's in the pack, and why didn't you get dropped? Is that part of the race that you have to keep the pack on your back?
Yeah, you've got mandatory kit. Every race will have mandatory kit that you have to take. If you're found without it, you're disqualified.
Okay, what's mandatory to be inside your pack?
Oof, let's have a think. So, I mean, it can vary, but the basics are usually waterproofs. So waterproof jacket, waterproof trousers.
That's not bad. That doesn't weigh a lot.
No, that's all right. First aid kit.
Okay.
Usually, a lot of places now have started running a certain amount of calories. So you have to have a set amount of calories on you at all times in case you end up stranded. So, and that can be that can be in any food, any sort of food or drink that you want.
Let's hold on. Let's back up. Hold on. Stranded? What do you mean stranded? Aren't they with you?
Well, apart from when you get the photographer peering up to take lovely photos of you when you're at the depths of despair, and there's times where you won't see anybody for hours. I'm talking hours. It's
hours.
Crazy. There could be hundreds of you on the same run, and it gets that spaced out that you don't see anybody for hours.
Okay, so now you're starting to get me interested in how much do these people who organize this make for this sort of thing? Because it's not like they're actually, all you need is open space, somewhere to make you lunatics run. How much does one of these cost? Like if you want to enter?
I just need to make sure my wife can't hear.
Yeah, okay.
No, so this one, the Race Across Scotland, most expensive one I've done was, what did I pay for it? It was about £400, which was actually really cheap. It's gone up to like 800 quid now.
All right, £400 in the money we use over here in America. £400 to dollars, because I need to know. $500. You paid it's too late. You paid $500 to do that. What's on the screen right now?
I think so. They organize aid stations for you. You get, what is it?
How nice of them. Okay.
I think you get fed like you'll love this. You get fed maybe every 20 miles, something like that.
So then why do you have to carry food? If they're gonna feed you.
20 miles can be a lot. 20 miles is quite a big distance to go with nothing when you've been out.
I'm not thinking about that, Tom. I'm thinking about the other side effect of food. What happens, because what goes in must come out.
Do you know what? Never had touch wood, because it'll probably happen now. I've never had an issue.
Okay. All right.
Never had an issue on any run.
So Carlos is my personal assistant. Carlos, start writing some of this stuff down. We need somewhere. So do you start out and you come back to the same place, or do you start out in one spot and you end up 100 miles away?
Varies. So this one was an A to B race. So that was where obviously the start line was on one side, finish line was on the other side.
Because it's racing across Scotland. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Carlos lives in Texas. That's why we're using him. Everything in Texas is far apart. So basically, we're going to go somewhere to Texas. That's pretty miserable there. And so, because that's what y'all like. You like for it to be miserable. So we're going to get you to Texas, and you're going to run from one spot in Texas to somewhere else far in Texas. And we'll cut you a discount because I know you, $400, not $500, $400. All right. And let's see. And then what do you win for this sort of thing?
A medal.
All right. All right. We're going to get some medals. And you said, and how many people normally enter this sort of thing?
I think that one's limited to about 200.
Limited? They have to turn people away.
Well, I think they put that on to make it sound a bit exclusive. I think that's to
Okay. I'm about to
entice
say,
people.
I'm telling you now, if they call my house,
It
you can
sells
have my
out.
spot in the race. I'm
It
not
does sell
doing it.
out.
Matt already says he'd rather do a 500-pound deadlift for reps than do that. Matt, I'm with you. Oh my God. Okay. So out of curiosity, could you use a 5K to prep for an ultra? Would it not matter?
I mean, the only sort of, in all honesty, the only carryover you've got is to run 100 miles. You've got to run 5K first. That's the only.
Wow. Just the way you said to run 100 miles, it just made my skin crawl. Just to hear you say.
The thing is, though, is 5K. 5K is a very, very respectable distance, isn't it? It's a long way.
I mean, you're running fast.
Yeah.
Well, theoretically, you're running.
It doesn't matter, does
fast.
it? It's whatever your speed is. Like before I joined the army, 5K was my long run. That was the longest run I would ever do.
Okay.
And I think if you can do 5K without stopping, you're already leaps and bounds ahead of most people, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, so that's what so in the Marine Corps, that's what you have to, the United States Marine Corps, not you all's other Marines that you guys have over there. What you have to do to get out of boot camp is you have to run 3 miles. And the typical time for that between 14 and 20 minutes. So like I was a little on the slower side, so I was like 21:40. I did 21:40 in boot camp. But they won't let you leave if you can't complete it. So everybody, and then but I saw a lot of people getting like 14, 15, and then after I was in, you do it every year, and you see people doing, it's nothing to see people running it in like 15 minutes, 3 miles in 15 minutes. So yeah, I got you. So that race I just showed, you posted on Instagram, I believe it's this week, that you weren't able to finish that. That was the first time you haven't finished a race. And so I know you appreciate me bringing it up, but that's what friends do. But you said that it still haunts you. Is it because it's the first time that you didn't finish an ultra marathon?
I think so, yeah. I think it's just because,
she found out how much you spent on the race.
That's my number one plan.
She found out how much you spent on the race.
Oh, yeah, God. Hello. She's peeping in.
Hey, that's all right.
Yeah, so I think it was, one, because it was the first time I'd failed, and two, just because it's the first time I'd done like a run for charity. Everyone sort of knew about it. I just felt like I'd let a lot of people down, which I know I hadn't, but I felt like I had. And to be honest, the main thing is I let myself down on it.
Right.
And like I wanted to prove to myself. The biggest thing I've always had is that even though I don't feel like I'm physically gifted, I've always had to work really, really hard to build my fitness. It's not come naturally. I've always had that thing where I feel like I've got it mentally to not quit. And that's the first time I quit. So to quit, it's just,
Like I get that, man, because it's like, just even saying it doesn't feel good. Like, say, yeah, I quit. Like it doesn't even feel good to say it. You know what I mean? Much less no.
And the most ridiculous thing is that distance is that's my PB. That's the furthest I have ever run. It's like the biggest distance I've ever covered. It was 185 miles race.
185 miles you ran.
Exactly. It's ridiculous, isn't it? That I can't see.
I think it's ridiculous. Those are card dis. Actually, something I always wondered. We're gonna come back to that in a second. But that the idea behind the marathon is there was a battle. The Spartans were fighting and they defeated the Persians, and so the guy runs back. So he runs the 26 miles back and he drops dead.
Yeah,
he gives his message and drops dead. Okay, so you can run 185 miles. You ever just think about that guy and wonder what a dang, I mean, how soft are you, man? I run, if you ran 26 miles, that's not even a third of your way.
I mean,
do you
he
secretly
probably
feel superior? Come on, Tom.
no, because he's clearly. I mean, for him to have dropped dead having run that distance, he's clearly redlined, doesn't he? He's taken
Yeah.
himself to maximum effort.
I mean, but you could run that distance and then run back to the battle to tell them what they said. Say, hey, yeah, I told them that we won. And they said,
he probably did it a lot faster, didn't he?
Oh, okay. Well, that's true. Okay, maybe. And I mean, maybe he had been in the battle. That's true too. He might have been fighting too. So he got blood loss. Let's just give him that. Let's say that he had blood loss, and he
probably wasn't
anyway.
running with a waterproof jacket in a bag. He was probably running with a shield.
Yeah. Now, I mean, on the other hand, that's true because they weren't allowed to leave their shields behind. Yeah, he had to have his shield. Yeah. But like the thing that makes me say there's no way that he was wounded is, would you send the wounded guy back to tell everybody? No, you pick somebody who you know is going to make it, right? So you would assume that he's in the best shape. And he died. Like, come on, man, you suck. Anyway. All right. But, okay, so you ran 185 miles. That's your best time ever, or your best distance ever.
Yeah.
And then it's like you've been driven to redeem yourself since then. So, like you said, you did the High Rocks Pro in January. Let's see if I can't pull up one of these suckers right here.
Yeah, so I did High Rocks Pro for the first time last year.
Look at this guy here. Look at this guy right there.
I think that was the first time I did it. So that was last year. That was where that exact movement, the sled pull, absolutely. I was the second slowest on the day. I could not move that sled. I was literally moving it centimeters with each pull.
Well, you said that. So this is the sled. Is that the same sled?
So that's the push.
Right, but is it the same sled? You push it and then you got to pull. Okay.
Well, no. Sorry, no. You push 200 kilograms,
and then you pull another sled.
You pull 160, I think it is, 150, 160 kilograms.
Oh, okay.
In the pro division.
All right, but look, you did it again. So that's the first time, but then you did it again and you beat your previous time by a few minutes, right? So I mean that's progress.
Oh, I'd say it was all on the sleds as well. The second time I went back, I put my heart and soul into training to beat those sleds the second time.
But I mean, and it's not like that's all you do, because you do the thing with the sandbags, whether it's the sandbags over your shoulder.
There's lunges, there are farmer's carries.
So there's lunges with the sandbag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Burpees.
Burpees.
Yeah. 80 meters of burpee broad jumps. That's
we're not into that. We're not into that.
Do you know what?
All the others.
That's one of the stations that I'm actually quite enjoy.
That's because there's something wrong with you, Tom. That's because there's something wrong with you. So then there's the farmer's carry. Okay.
So you can see
I love the look on your face too while you the look on your face in all these.
I've got to give a shout out there as well. If you see in the background the guy holding the phone up, that's probably my second biggest fan. That's my dad.
So your dad runs with you sometimes, but I noticed that he was nowhere to be found in that 185 mile run. He's like, I'm not running across Scotland. I'm not.
Do you know what?
I don't blame him.
He was my crew member. He was my crew. He was my.
So what does that mean? What is he doing for you?
So a lot of people turn up with genuinely teams of like 4 or 5 people that will have like all the food and nutrition laid out. They'll have chairs ready for them to sit down at aid stations. They'll have all of that sorted out. I just have my dad, who brings me a few Haribos here and there and an energy drink when I need it, that he's suddenly remembered he left in the car and he's had to run back to get it and then run after me to get to it.
So he does, I mean, so there's stations, so he's driving to the next station, then drives to the next station, so you guys, and are you allowed to like have a phone with you in this backpack that they make you carry? Okay.
Yeah, so that's one of the mandatory things you have to have.
So he can call you and say, okay, Tom, where are you? And then, well, I'm lost. Okay, so don't go to that station, go to the next one and I'll help you, like that kind of thing. You can be in communication. I mean, all joking aside, that's probably a good idea, because you start to get disoriented with
Oh,
all you're doing. He can be like, okay, well, what's around you? Well, I passed a street sign or whatever. There's nothing but cows over here or whatever.
Yeah,
He can say, okay, well, it sounds like you're whatever. Okay. All right. So that's pretty good. Well, I might understand if that's all you had done, but you did that. Then you have also done other ultras, because you did that thing that I told you sounded absolutely horrible, which was, I'm going to get the name right, the Fallout Ultra. That sounds absolutely horrible. Go ahead and tell everybody what the Fallout Ultra is.
So basically, you all start off from, I've forgotten the name of the village now, but
that's
it's
fine. We're never going there because I'm not doing the Fallout Ultra. You can just say a village. You start at a random village in England.
So it's next to Harwell, which is where there was an old nuclear power plant in Harwell. And the idea behind it is that there's been a nuclear disaster at the power plant. And you all have to you're all employees of this power plant. The disaster happens. You've got 12 hours to escape from the fallout and get as far away from it as you can. You can go in any direction you want. You can run wherever you want. You've all got trackers on, and your distance is measured as the crow flies. So I think you had 12 hours, and the safety net was 40 miles away as the crow flies in 12 hours. And you could do any route you want. You just picked your own route and off you went. And that was it. They followed you on the tracker, but you were on your own.
Okay, and how many miles are you doing there?
So on that,
you had like a distance, a mandatory distance, or was it a time, or both?
Well, the mandatory distance was 40 miles, and the time.
That's right. Because you did 50 miles, you actually exceeded it in less time.
Yeah.
Okay, and that wasn't enough for you.
Well, I mean, I couldn't see the positive. Obviously, it was a great achievement, but when I turned my tracker off at 50 miles, I was actually sat in second place. And had I just carried on, which I was capable of doing, I probably could have won the thing. But I decided it wasn't fair. Again, my dad was the only person out there crewing me. I thought it wasn't fair on keeping him out in the car and everything.
Gotcha.
So I just turned the tracker off. And
your poor dad sitting in the car watching you pretend to run from a nuclear fallout. It's like, he's just like, where did I go wrong? But I got this, you start out, we showed the picture so your poor dad, he starts out, he's got such a bright future. He's in the military. He's taking pictures next to Prince Harry. And then you come out of the military. Now you're dyeing your hair. You're wearing unicorn masks in the gym. Does he ever say, where did I go wrong? Like, what have I done? Like, he and your mom just sit up at night like, what did we do?
He now does high rocks himself and has done a 50K himself now.
He's like, if you can't beat him, join him. Okay, all right. Your poor father. I feel for him. Look, when you see him next time, just tell him John sent this and just hug him. Because he's a broken man. You've broken your father. I hope you're happy.
Oh, no, he absolutely loves it.
That's how I know he's broken. So you did a physique show, and you took second in that. So let's throw so first of all, because you are a patriot, I'm assuming that's not what that wasn't the outfit. I don't know why you didn't go with that outfit on stage. What happened? What's going on?
I felt like I've worn them too many times already, which is a ridiculous thing.
You could wash it,
isn't it?
You could wash it.
But
well, yes, that is an issue. Did your wife take these pictures?
No.
Okay.
Oh no,
she know about these pictures
now. She's sick of all this.
I'm sure she is.
These are all
she knew about the unicorn mask, and I noticed that the unicorn mask went away after you got married. But these Matt Welch, do you see this right here? This patriot representing your country. All right. I just had to pull it up. I was like, what in the world is this when I saw it? But let's go to this photo right here. Okay, so you got that. About how far into prep were you right there?
Is that probably a few weeks out? So It was quite a short prep. I'd originally planned on like a good long 20 20-week or so prep.
Okay.
But then, because I was still running ultras, I kept being like, I can afford to still eat. So it's fine. I'll just push it back. And then I'll push it back again. And then I'll push it back some more. And then the next thing you know, I had 8 weeks.
So here's the thing, though. I mean, one of the things that you struggle with because of the ultras is just keeping weight on. So do you find that, I mean, was the prep, people say it's difficult, and I'm sure it was still difficult, but I don't know how difficult it was for you because you decided to go run one of those races the night before leg day with no food, no calories in your stomach. Like, why not? Let's just go ahead and go do that. So how tough was getting ready for that physique show for you?
People are really, really shocked that when I speak to them and tell them that genuinely, in terms of preparation, hardest thing I've ever done.
Hardest thing you've ever done, really?
Hardest thing I've ever done in terms of preparation.
What was so hard about it?
The nutrition.
Okay. Like trying to eat the exact correct things at the right time?
So I'm not, in terms of timings and things like that, I've no problem with anything like that. No problem with sticking to sort of what you would consider the right foods. Okay. It was just the calorie restriction. I had to drop my calories that low because I left myself that little time. I got you. Okay. I'm used to eating like 4,000 calories and maintaining my weight.
Well, you're used to eating during your competitions.
Yeah. Well, I eat loads when
during the races and stuff. Yeah.
I'm eating, and it doesn't really matter what you eat there. It's just a case of getting calories in.
Yeah.
So to suddenly go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum and have to eat so little was, toughest thing I've ever done.
All right. So if it's already that tough, and then because you hate yourself, you decide to go run with nothing in your stomach, you literally went and ran 4 miles. Okay. On empty stomach.
I just wanted to see what I had in me.
Okay.
See if I could manage it. And I went.
Was that the mental? So it's basically for the mental, just like to know you could do it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, for my own personal satisfaction. And I did quite well. I was quite happy with my performance. I was still inside the top 20. Finished pretty strong. Didn't feel too bad. And I need to give a big shout out to my mate who he came with me, and that was his first ever race. He just decided he'd do his first ever race.
Yeah, was that the guy that borrowed a pair of sneakers, of running shoes?
He literally took them out of my boot when we pulled up to the race. I went, I've got these in my boot. Do you want to try them? And he put them on, and now they're his.
you got extra sneakers in the trunk of your car, and this guy, yeah, sure, okay, I'll run with you. That's outstanding. Well, all right, so let's check out how you actually did in the competition. So there's this guy, got the back shot there. I'm assuming that's backstage, kind of getting ready. And it's funny because you had to watch, because I've been to a few bodybuilding shows where friends of mine were competing, and it's interesting how they have you have to manage your emotions because your emotions will change your body.
Oh, big time.
If you get too stressed, it flattens out your stomach if you get too stressed out.
Yeah.
But you look miserable again, okay? But that's your happy place. So
I think that's just my face.
Yeah, you just look. Well, I mean, you look happy now talking to me, but in all these other things, I'm like, this guy doesn't look like he's having a good time at all. What would you say? And I mean, well, here you look happy. Look at that. Got all the hardware. Yeah. What did you learn about yourself from doing this competition, from doing the physique show?
I just think how much I could push myself, how much I could suffer. I know I've suffered through the ultras, but that is just a case of you just keep plodding forwards no matter what. This one was just more about having a bit of self-belief, self-confidence, which is something I've always struggled with. I'm always full of doubt, and this allowed me to sort of overcome that. To get up on that stage, and be there on your own, literally bearing all, essentially, apart from a tiny pair of trunks. You're literally on show.
Yeah.
And I think it's literally skyrocketed my confidence. just because having the mental attitude to go through with it. Because there was many times during prep that I was just going to pull out and think, I don't need to do this. I'm going to go back to running. I've got nothing to prove. But to stick with it has just proven to myself that I can do things now without quitting. It's given me a little bit of redemption from Scotland, a little bit.
So we got Mike Taylor. So first of all, Tattoo saying said about your little itty bitty trunks there. He said that the man's got good taste because they got the British flag. Okay, all right. And then Mike said he wore those same shoes for his run last night. So apparently he's not giving those shoes back.
That is absolutely fine. That means he's doing more races with me.
There you go. What I am curious about, because I mean, I know that you are a trainer and you do train people, but you also have a day job, a full-time job as well. So
yeah.
What's your normal routine outside of the gym? Like, how many hours do you have to work? You're on vacation right now, obviously, but how many hours do you normally have to work?
So I mean, there's no real. I couldn't really give you a set time frame because I teach. So I'm a teacher at a special educational needs school, and I mean the school hours are between like 8:30 and like 3:00. But obviously you've got everything either side of that. You've got the planning for lessons. You've got the getting yourself sorted for the day. You've got everything else that comes with it from whatever happens during that day. So it's pretty full on, and it doesn't leave that much time if you're not committed to it really. I mean, I'm usually up at like 4 a.m, so I can train first thing. And then that way I can do my whole day at work. And then when I get home, I've got the whole evening to spend with my daughter and my wife.
Okay.
And then if I get any bonus time in the evening, that is when I'll get another short run in or something like that. But as long as I've managed to get that full 2 and a bit hours, anything from 1 to 2 and a bit hours in the morning done, that's me sorted for the day. Sets me up.
It's interesting that you said you're a teacher, because I'm just going to tell you that this doesn't strike me as the person that I'm going to say, yeah, sure, let's go ahead and let him lead the next generation. Let's show the next generation how they need to be. That right there does not. But hey, that's a leader of men right there. Okay.
I mean, I pray to God none of them ever find this account.
Yeah. And here I am saying follow Tomo119 on Instagram.
Oh yeah, that's fine. None of them will be on here.
You never know. First of all, let me just tell you don't know who follows me, okay, Tom?
Well, this is true. This is true. You've got me worried now.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, man, it's funny. Like, I see a bunch of different teachers and in the home gym community, and you guys are all like, I can just see like, okay, my mom was a teacher she retired as a teacher. So I get like the kids drive you nuts, even though you love them. There's a time you get home, you just like, I just need to do something to get this out, this stress out. So it's always interesting to me how teachers act when they're at home. They're like, like, yeah, okay, I just got to get this out of my system. That's hilarious. Now the toughest part for you though seems to be maintaining your muscle mass because of all the running. So how do you normally train to hold on to your muscle and prevent injuries? Because I mean, you've already put on some weight, but I mean, you don't normally. Well, I'm saying like you've gained some of your weight back, but you normally are, like when people see you, even if you got on a regular shirt, you look like you lift weights, right? So how do you train so that you can hold on to muscle and prevent injuries, and then still not only not interfere with your responsibilities for work and family and all that, but also still be able to maintain the runs?
Yeah. I think it's just a case of prioritizing your training, really. You can achieve, obviously, if I wanted to excel in one particular thing, I would cut back on something else. So, for instance, lately in this 8 weeks building up to this physique show, I did cut back on the running because I was determined to get my legs to look like they belonged on a stage. So I cut back on the running and increased the lifting, but I'd never stopped the running completely. Whereas now I'm going to transition back into training for ultras. The lifting will cut down a little bit and the running will increase. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah,
that was a good day.
Brought my back.
Hurt his back doing sandbag carries.
Well,
but you started out so well.
We say doing sandbag carries. It was actually pulling weeds out in between sets.
You hurt yourself gardening. That's right. I just saw that. You were carrying the dang sandbag and then did gardening and hurt yourself.
The gardening defeated me.
But look at your back. So there you go. All right.
That's the one strong point I had going into that show. For some weird reason, my back has always just responded well to any sort of resistance training.
So yeah, I mean, that's actually why I pulled it up, because I wanted to show people like how you look, most of the time, because we've been showing like all these pictures and all that of you smaller. I wanted people to see like, I mean, you squat, you deadlift. That's kind of what I was looking at. Like, do you prioritize kind of like more of the multi-joint movements?
When I'm training for an ultra, I will scale my lifting back to maybe 2-3 days a week, and it will be big lifts. Get like obviously the most out of the minimal amount of lifting I can do. So it'll always be big lifts. I'm a massive. Do you have to do
anything for shin splints? Do you have to do anything to protect yourself from shin splints? Like tib work or anything like that?
To be perfectly honest, it's something I've, touch wood, never had an issue with. I do the bare minimum of calf work, which is probably what let me down on stage the other day as well. I was very much in the team no calves camp. But
but you said, don't look at that, look at my back.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me turn around and show you again.
I'd said all along, if I could not face the judges and then just crab walk onto the stage in a back double buys, I'd have been
that would have got you noticed.
And then just crab walk back off. That would have been fine.
Did you dye your hair blonde for the competition?
Oh no, it's been blonde a while now. It was
because it was purple.
It's been
or pink or whatever.
Yeah, it's been.
Yeah, your hair is going through a lot.
It's been blue. I've forgotten. Like when you put some of those pictures up before and some of that video when I had my natural dark brown color, it looks strange to me now. Forgotten what it was like.
Yeah, I mean, you like I said, man, you're. I don't always. So the thing about it is, like, I don't always get to comment because sometimes I go on Instagram and I literally have a few minutes. I go on, and what I do is I check to see if anybody's contacted me. So I check, do I have a DM? And then, has anybody tagged me? And then I'll scroll really quick through my feed, and then I gotta go because I've got stuff to do, right? And so I might see stuff, and I feel like I'm almost like a ghost follower. So I do the thing that I hate when people do to me when they see it, but they don't comment or anything. They just go right past. But I get it. I'm like, sometimes you're busy, but having said that, I mean, I do see like everything I'm pulling up here is something I've seen from your feed before. So like this right here, where you're again miserable in the ice bath. Again, I don't understand you, but there you go. You're in the ice bath and all that, but you can see like you tend to have a fair amount of muscle mass. How long? And then is there a season for the ultras? Like you say, okay, I'm going to do ultras for, I don't know, from January to May or something like that, and then you cycle into more lifting and more. How do you periodize your training?
I would love to say that I go into it that strategically, but I don't.
It's just like, it's Tuesday. Let's go ahead and run 100 miles.
Well, I get the odd time where I might be like, I feel like I've not got any events booked in for a certain month or something. Let's have a look. Let's see what's available. And then if there's something to book in for, I'll book it and then I'll train for it.
Okay. So Sean O'Rourke wants to know what your training is going to look like leading into High Rocks.
So yeah, that will be. So I've got something called the Deadly Dozen coming up first in September, which is so it's similar to High Rocks. It's running with then exercises in between each set of running, but it's going to be a lot shorter and a lot faster. It's only a 400-meter run in between each station.
Okay. Does it have rowing as well?
No, it doesn't have any of the ergs on this one. It's all like kettlebell movements in between. So like 60 goblet squats. No, 60. Don't ask me why 60. 60 push presses with lighter weights, obviously. But,
yeah, that makes it okay then.
Well, that's in a strange way. That's probably where my natural sort of strength is, being able to utilize sort of light to moderate loads for a lot of reps. That tends to be just what I take to more natural.
I mean, you've been training that way for such a long time that your body's adapted to more muscle endurance, and so I can get that. You've got a very high lactic acid pain threshold too. So So what about your diet though? I know you said that your diet, isn't super strict, but do you do the things like I know what's his name? Randy Couture. He was eating a lot of foods that he called it basic foods to kind of like help counteract the lactic acid, and stop himself from getting as fatigued. And there's people who like eat baking soda or whatever so that it kind of stops them from fatiguing as fast. Do you do anything special like that in order to help with your endurance?
No, not really.
That all sounds very strange. Okay.
No, I mean it's one of them. I think sometimes people get a bit too obsessed with all of it. I eat things that when I'm in training for a run, I eat things that I know won't cause me any stomach upset. I eat things that I know that I'll digest easily, and that won't make me feel bloated or heavy. So it is basic stuff. It's a lot of chicken, a lot of rice, and then I do eat probably an obscene amount of spinach.
That's what I'm talking about, stuff like that. So you're not just eating skinny crunch choco hoops and marshmallows.
No, that makes me feel ill looking back at that again.
Look at that. You're in foreign territory right there.
Oh, big time.
Like, what's this
guy in a commercial gym using occlusion bands and everything.
Look at you. Occlusion bands.
Oh,
let's see what else you had. Wait a minute. There's looked like we had some berries, some lightly salted rice cakes with, was it bananas in there?
Banana and peanut butter, but it's like
Tom, that looks disgusting.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's not.
It is. It's good.
Okay, so that looks like a normal person is eating that.
Oh, this was actually a refeed day. this was a day where I was eating more.
Oh, okay. So so you splurged, got a bagel with chicken in it.
But I was kind of just showing,
and a salad.
When you get these fitness influencers that post these absolutely perfect looking meals up, that just clearly aren't what you eat on a day-to-day basis. I was showing a bit of realism. Like this is when you're busy and you've got a family, and you've got to make your food separately to everybody else. You haven't got time to be messing about with presentation and.
It's the water biscuits. That's the secret right there. We got to go because I don't want. I'm gonna get it off of you. I don't want your competition knowing what you eat. Yeah, we can't have that.
Exactly.
All right. So you got that competition, and then High Rocks is coming up after that. So are you gonna have to tweak anything or?
Yeah. So
I've started High Rocks.
I've started over the last I've got back into training over the last couple of days. To be honest, I'm back to sort of doing one big lift, and then I'll do a couple of accessory movements for lower volume, and then it'll all be like conditioning based stuff. So doing the movements that I'll be doing in the events, like burpees, wall balls, sled pushing, pulling, and then I'll get a run in at other times as well. So like later on in the day, I'll go for a long, easy run. And on days that I don't lift, will just be a longer run. Because I've got the ultras to prepare for as well. I'm doing another ultra in November. So
I'm not nodding my head like I agree. I understand. So Sean says a no run deadly dozen is a good home gym workout. So that actually was I don't think you were on yet you were backstage yet when we were talking about the Garage Gym Games. That Jake, the guy who organized Home Gym Con, which happens over here in the States. He's looking at creating the Garage Gym Games, so maybe we can talk you into flying over to compete in that. But he's still trying to narrow down what the events will be. So
so I'll
make sure that you guys I'll keep you guys posted about it. In fact, I'm gonna see if I can't get Jake to come on to talk about it, just so you guys will know what to expect, because I think that that's something that has potential. Because he doesn't want, the thing is, he doesn't want to just have anybody in it. He wants to get like top athletes, and so that may be something that, you know, you might be like, oh yeah, I can go ahead and I'll train for that, you know. And if it's not challenging enough, you can always run 200 miles and then do the competition, you know, or something like that, just to keep yourself interested or whatever. Anyway, Tom, man, I really enjoyed having you on here, especially because I know your schedule is really tight and you're not able to always be on. Obviously, you're a teacher, so my show comes on in the middle of the day for you, middle of your work day. So I appreciate you being here, taking time from your vacation to be here. I realize we don't want any of your students finding you, but I do want the people who are watching this show to find you. So let everybody know. The only thing I'm aware of is your Instagram. Do you have a website? Do you have, because you do coach people. So if someone wants to get in touch with you for all that, how do they reach you?
So currently my only platform is Instagram on like you see there, Tom119. But within the next month anyway, it's something I have been working on over the past couple of months. There's going to be a website. There's going to be a YouTube channel because at the end of the day, some of these things I'm doing, like you say, they're not normal, are they? So I'm going to start documenting everything that I do, and I am going to be opening up my coaching further afield, because currently it's been very select. I've had people competing in Ironman. I've had people just wanting to bulk up, people wanting to lose weight, but I am going to start like opening up the service, so it's open to more people, because the people that I've been training have had brilliant results. I mean, they've put the work in. It's been great to see. But yeah, I am going to be setting up the website and the YouTube channel as well. So if you go on my Instagram, you'll be able to see when all that's happening.
All right, nice, man. Yeah, and definitely let me know. I'm happy to promote it, and you know, help you get the word out. And it'd be cool to just see you use YouTube as an educational platform, because that's what it's for.
Yeah,
really, it's a great way to get your information out there, because then it's there forever.
Yeah.
You know, as long as Google exists, you're gonna probably be able to have your stuff on there, and so it'll be able to educate people. So I really do appreciate you being here, man. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and I've got your link in the description, and then when your YouTube channel does come out, what I'll do is I'll come back to this video and update it with your YouTube information and your website information, and then of course I'll have you back on too. You know, we just gotta wait till you have another vacation. So, man, I'll let you get back to your family. Tell them I said thank you for allowing us to borrow you for a little while, and my best to your wife, and tell her we're all praying for her, because we know what she's going through. Hey, you have a great day, Tom, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, you too, John. And thank you for all the support. You've, like I say, you were one of the first people to start messaging me and support me with all this as well. So it's been great, and it's always an honor to be invited onto it and talk to you.
You have an open invite anytime you have time. I love having you on, man. I'm
cheers,
proud
John.
to see what you're doing. All right, have a good day, man.
Cheers, mate. You too.
All right, later. All right, so that was my guy Tom, Tomo119. You guys make sure that you are following Tom on Instagram at Tomo119. It is just about the 8 o'clock hour here on the East Coast, and so see here. Go ahead. We're going to go ahead and give a shout out to the Mountain Time Zone. All right, so welcome. This is the Way Too Early for Friday Morning Show. I am John Greaves III. I'm the founder of Garage Gym Life. This is a Garage Gym Life production. I appreciate you guys being here on the Way Too Early for Friday Morning Show. But you guys ought to know, if this is your first time here, that we have content all week long. Every Monday, we release a product review video. And then throughout the week, I post YouTube shorts showing my training. You know, I gotta post this stuff because I'm training anyway, but it also helps keep me accountable. You know, I'm in my 50s now, and I can't let these young punks catch up with me and catch up to me. So I gotta make sure that that I stick with it. So if you guys are watching and and this is your first time being here, please do me a favor before you leave, hit the like button and hit subscribe, and then go the extra mile. As long as I'm begging, I need you to share this video with at least one person who you know might enjoy this sort of content. So it can help me reach my goal for this year, which is 50,000 subscribers. I can't get there without you. Subscribing is free, but I can't get to where I'm trying to get without you guys. So I appreciate all of that. So it's now 8 o'clock, and my guy Cody Lutz from Backyard Shreds is going to be joining us in the next few minutes. So as soon as I see him pop up in the studio, I'll go ahead and I'll bring him on, and so we can talk about backyard shed gyms, what he calls backyard shreds. You guys do not want to miss out on that, and feel free to I know you guys have been commenting, so go ahead and any questions you have for Cody about building your own shed gym, you guys can go ahead and start adding those to the live chat. And if you're watching on replay, or if you're listening to the replay on Podbean, go ahead and come to YouTube and put any questions that we don't address in the comments. And then I'll see if I can't twist Cody's arm, get him to come back whenever you guys have questions. Check out and respond to those questions in the comments as well. That way you guys get all your questions answered. All right. So without further ado, I don't know why this thing isn't playing for me to be able to hear it, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring our guy on. Show your love to Cody. My God, Cody Lutz. What's up, my man?
What's going on, John? How are we today?
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm glad you're here, dude. So first question, is it Lutz or Lutz? I really hope it's Lutz.
It's Lutz. You got it right, man. You got it right.
That's
Everybody gets confused with like Lutz, Florida. You know, I don't know. Everybody down there says it wrong.
I was today years old when I found out that there is a place called Lutz, Florida. But so Cody Lutz. So I went just straight phonetically. I was like, I'm an English major, and while Lutz isn't necessarily an English word, it seems Germanic. Is that where it's from? I
think so. I haven't done like a deep dive into the heritage and everything like that, now. But I think it is Germanic or something like that. But then that would probably make it like Lutz or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
It's Lutz. You got it right.
Etymology. Let's see. What's the etymology of Lutz? The name Lutz has multiple origin, including a German boy's name and a surname. It means people. It's a short form of Ludwig, which means famous in battle. There you go. Boom. That's really why people come here, for that sort of information.
Famous in battle.
Famous
I'm
in
rolling
battle.
With that one, man.
There you go.
Dude, that's all right. Dropping some knowledge on me this morning, John.
Hey, that's why you're here, man. All right, my work is done. Next guest. Hi. Hey, man. So anyway, I appreciate you being here, dude, taking some time out to kind of hang out with me. I know it's a little early in the morning. What time zone are you in?
I'm in Eastern, so it's 8 o'clock here.
Oh, this isn't early.
Hours.
I'm done feeling sorry for you. I thought it was like 6 o'clock in the morning for you. You're leading the way. We on the East Coast, we lead the way for the rest of the country. All right, because it's 6 o'clock for us before it's 6 o'clock for everybody else. So yeah, tip of the spear. Yeah. So for everyone who's unfamiliar with you, give me. It doesn't quite have to be as short as an elevator speech, but give me the condensed version of your business and how you got started.
Yeah, sure, John. So my business is called Backyard Shreds, and I'm very new in all of this. I just kind of launched the actual like shed building plans and everything like last month, I think it was. So all still very new. I've been kind of working towards getting everything set and launched for the last few months. But the backstory is that I built this shed, this 12 by 20 shed that I'm in right now, last summer in 2023. And I built it with the intention of making it a home gym and probably in a home office. Part of it will be like home office, part of it will be a home gym. And I don't have a garage. I don't have a basement or anything like that. And so I had I got into really got back into lifting a couple years ago. I had something set up on my porch, but that only worked, for kind of 3 seasons out of the year. And I live in Kentucky, so we get snow and it gets cold. So I didn't have space, and I needed space to set up my home gym. So I started doing research on just different options that were budget friendly, and sheds kind of kept coming back around, and said, that's exactly what I need. But when I looked at like buying a shed versus building one, I kind of looked at like what they cost to have one built or to buy one pre-built. And I was like, man, even that's kind of expensive for what you get. Like I could build that, like the cost of materials would be like a fraction of the price. And so like there's a cost factor. There's also sort of a factor with wanting it to be a home gym. I wanted to be like really confident that like that the floor was going to be strong enough that I could lift heavy and not worry about that. I'm 6'3", so like overhead space and just kind of like some different size requirements and stuff that I wanted to make sure was exactly what I wanted. So I ended up kind of designing it and building it myself.
Okay.
And started posting in January of this year on like social media with like a fitness challenge thing that I was doing online, and posting about the shed, and everyone was like, dude, that's awesome. Like home gym shed, home gym. The shred thing's kind of funny too. That was kind of a typo actually. My whole brand is an accident. It's a typo.
There are no accidents, Cody.
I know. Here we are. So I was texting a friend, and he was like, hey man, how's it going working out in the shred? I was like, dude,
nice.
That's hilarious.
Hey, there you go.
I'm gonna call it the shred. I posted about that on social media, and someone was like, dude, backyard shreds. Like wouldn't that be a cool like company name? And
there you go.
There's something there. So that got the wheels rolling. Like it was in January.
Okay.
That friend that was like, hey, that would be a really cool like company name, backyard shreds. And I kind of love the way that sounded. And then all the interest and like questions and stuff I was getting from people online, they're like, dude, like tell me more about this shed gym thing. Like that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. And so I just kind of I thought, hey, maybe I can turn this into something that I could share with other people, kind of share my experience. And so the building plans kind of was the first foray into helping other people, and trying to make YouTube content now too, and get into the content creator space.
Nice. So yeah, I know you said that, and I say that you say this because I saw it. You said you did a ton of research, capital TON, to streamline the shed building process. But it seems to me, you said like it was an accident, but if you like look back, you can see how each thing led to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. You're like, oh, and all that leads to like where I'm standing right now, talking to you. And it's one of the, as you get older, you start having catchphrases that you say all the time, right? And one of the things I always say is, especially when my boys were growing up, I said like everyone is where they are because of the decisions they made leading up to that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whether that's physically or emotionally. So I love seeing like going back through, just like we went for your name. I love seeing how we went through the etymology of how you got to where you are. Yeah. And even the etymology of how you got the name Backyard Shreds, right? So I love that, man. That's pretty cool. Now, as far as the research thing, I know how long it took for you to kind of get the information for you to build your own shed. How long did it take you to come up with like the building plans you decided on, for example? You're like, okay, well, because you can make a shed roughly any size you want, right? I mean, you could do an 8x8 if you want to. But you say, okay, well, this is a good size for a home gym. We're building this shed specifically to be a home gym. So this is a good size. And what are some of the things that are different about the ones that you picked? Do you get what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
How long did it take for you to get to the point where you're like, these are the 3 sizes I'm going to advise people to use if they want to make a home gym versus one that's just going to store garden tools? Yeah. So it's been a big learning curve, but there are a few different factors that I kind of considered we have 3 sizes right now on the website, 12 by 12, 12 by 16, and 12 by 20. The footprint for the one that I'm in is 12 by 20. And the model's a little bit different, the one that we have online versus what I'm in. Kind of streamline the construction design. Yeah, there it is.
So those are the 3 different sizes that we have right now. And for the footprint, the size requirements, there are a few different things that I kind of considered. One is permits. Depending on where you live, there are kind of different requirements for building permits, and you can have, you can build a shed without a permit if it's under a certain size.
Right.
And
like
that
here in
varies.
Georgia, it's 120 square feet.
120 square feet. Yeah. I think that's kind of like the most common kind of nationwide is 120, which would be like a 10 by 12, which is just a little bit smaller than the smallest model that I have. So we may end up doing like a 10 by 12 for somebody that's like, hey, I don't want to mess with permits and I can build this, and you can still work out in a 10 by 12. So the permit, the permit option was one of them. Budget kind of was another, kind of just having different price points of depending on people's budgets, depending on the amount of space that people have in their yard to build something like this. And then also, the footprint of the gym equipment that people want to put in there. So your standard like Olympic bar is like what, 7 feet long. So you don't want anything less than probably 10 feet. Like that's going to be really tight. So you have 10.
Because you need to have room to. So, okay, let's say you got a power rack. You put the Olympic bar on the power rack. Theoretically, it's centered.
Right.
Well, then you got to have room to walk around it, to stand there and put
plates on.
Yeah. And so, like from front to back, a person is about 44 inches. Right. So it's like,
right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 10 foot would give you basically a 1.5 foot, actually less than that, because if it's outside to outside, you actually lose 7 inches for your framing. So come in, 7 inches. So you have less than a 1.5 foot on each side in a 10 foot. So that's why I bumped it out to the 12 foot width. That's what this is 12 feet. And it's pretty comfortable. Like I could put my rack this way. I could put my rack this way. It's not in here right now because I'm getting drywall and everything finished up in here. But that 12 foot was kind of like the starting point of, I don't really want to go smaller than that. Just to give people options for where they, some racks are bigger than others and whatnot, as far as the depth too. Yeah. So 12 foot, and then kind of going out from there in width, or in length, I guess, to 16. So 12 by 12 is, 144 square feet. So some places it's some states, some counties, cities, it kind of varies. 144 square feet or 12 by 12 is the biggest you can build without a permit. So it kind of hits that like right there. And then the 12 by 16, which I think is 100, and I'm bad at public math here. I wrote it down though. We
got a teacher in the live chat. You want to make him do all the math? He's Tom, and actually Matthew Porter too. All right,
192 square feet. So where I live in Kentucky,
oh wait, hold on a second. My mom is watching. Let's just stop right there. She says, congratulations to Tom, but mommy, this is Cody, and Cody is our brother, by the way. So Cody is he's building backyard sheds. All right, so my mom retired as a teacher. So here we go. So this is like the most amount of teachers I've had in my chat so far to this date. So it must be something about you. All right. But go ahead. So so 192 square feet.
I need all the help I can get, man. 190. So a 12 by 16 is 192 square feet. So where I live in Kentucky, the limit is 200 square feet. So you can build anything under 200. So a 12 by 16, and from the market research that I did beforehand, 12 by 16 seems to be like the most popular size for people that have built sheds or are using sheds or are interested in sheds. Like 12 by 16 is kind of the most popular size. So, so 12 by 16, you could build that without a permit. I'm just a little bit over that with the 12 by 20, a little extra square footage there.
So there's a couple of things. So my mom says all the best, Cody, with your backyard shreds home gym business.
Thank you.
So there you go. The thing that I think, and actually let's say this before I say what I was going to say. Tom has it's a detached garage, but it's essentially, we would call it a back garden shed as well.
Yeah.
And he said he's had to buy a shorter trap bar so he could save space.
Right.
So that's one thing that is a thing. But I'm thinking about it, and it's like there are differences between, as we said, a shed that you have that you're gonna put like whatever in, right? One advantage that I think though, that building the gym yourself, putting in the backyard that you have is in a garage, the floor is going to be sloped. And then you have to kind of level it with a platform.
Right.
Well, I would assume that when you're building your shed, you're going to level the floor of the shed so you don't have to worry about that at all.
Right.
Which isn't a big deal unless you're putting, like, a sloped floor becomes a bigger issue if you have like a treadmill in there.
Yeah.
Because as I learned from my guy Dennis, who's also in the chat, Dennis installs home gym equipment, and he said basically you don't want to put your treadmill across the slope because it'll make your belt slip, right? And so that interferes with the maintenance. But it seems like you can kind of optimize your shed if you're building it yourself. You say, okay, I'm going to optimize it to be a training space. Is that one of the things that people are coming to you for?
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea, is that when you're building a shed for the purpose of it being a home gym, like I did, you can kind of design that space around exactly what you plan on putting in there, what your space requirements are, and make it kind of perfect for what you actually plan to use it for, rather than just kind of reconfiguring an existing space.
So I already brought up one difference, and that's the floor.
Yeah.
The floor slope. What are some other differences? I'm assuming you have to reinforce the floor because those sheds look like they were raised. They're not on a slab. So what are some other differences that you have that you put in, keeping in mind this is going to be used for people to lift weights in?
Yeah. So with the shed plans that we have on the website, we have a alternate foundation guide that's sort of like, if you want to do a concrete floor or some different options for the foundation, put it on like concrete piers or whatever, there are different ways that you can do that. And so we have like an alternate foundation guide that you can kind of use to modify this. The default plan is built on like skids, which has some benefits. One, it's cheaper than doing like concrete. And for like a DIY kind of thing, like not DIY framing and building like a shed's not that hard to learn. You start getting into concrete and like doing a pad yourself, that can be a little bit more involved. And so the default design is without a pad. There's also some benefits there too of if you have like a sloped, not perfectly flat area, it's a little bit easier. Excuse me. It's a little bit easier to adjust that with the design that we have on the skids. You can it's on like little feet kind of thing. So you can kind of have one side of the feet a little bit longer if you have a slight slope to the ground and not have to like dig out and level the whole thing. But yeah, the biggest thing is the floor. And so the framed floor that we have, obviously if you're on concrete, you're probably good, right? It's strong. That's like the strongest foundation that you can have. But if you're building a framed floor like what I have here, that's probably the biggest distinction. Most shed floors are built around 20 to 40 pounds per square foot is what their ratings are. And ours are rated to around 120 pounds per square foot. So big difference, if you are doing lifting heavy and whatnot. Now you still want to have, some kind of rubber padding or something like that down. So if you drop weights, no matter how strong even if you're on concrete, you're going to damage the floor, right? Yeah. So you got to have some kind of like rubber flooring, gym flooring kind of thing, which I think most people have. But the actual like support system for the floor, super, super strong. One of the things again is like the overhead space too, is that a lot of these garden sheds, they have like 6-foot sidewalls or something like that, because they're kind of just designed for storage. And so like the plans that we have in my shed here has like 8-foot sidewalls, really tall, and then goes up to like 10 foot. So you have like tons of overhead space, so you can do CrossFit movements, powerlifting, etc. With plenty of room. And those are kind of the main things. And then also just the research that went into these building plans of why they're designed the way that they are is I wanted them to be, for the DIY part especially, want it to be as simple as possible for people to build. And you can see that I have like a gable roof. So it's got like a ridge line like this. The shed plans on the website are actually like a single pitch. So it's like super, probably the rafters are like the hardest part of the whole build, is figuring out the math and the angles and everything like that. So a single pitch roof, not only does it look cool and it's very modern looking, but it's actually super simple. So I just want to keep things really, really simple so that somebody could put this together. And what took me an entire summer and months of research, somebody can just download the plans, has everything they need. They can get started in a single weekend, get it done in a matter of a week or a couple weeks, depending on how much help or time they have.
So I'm going to go back to what you said about the roof, because one disadvantage of having a gym in your basement, and Eric, I think it's Eric Eccles, who said he's got a shed gym now, and he says his shed is the best, right? So Eric, I believe, was in a basement in the past, right? And now he's moved from that into the shed. So one disadvantage of having your home gym in a garage or a basement is if you need to hang something like a pull-up bar, or like I have a banana bag, a punching and kicking bag. If you want to hang it, it's not a good idea to hang it in the center of the floor, center of the ceiling, right? So everybody does that, like they'll hang it in the center, but that's actually not good because you're hanging it where it's at its weakest point.
Sure.
Right. You want to hang it towards the sides so that it's at the strongest point of the rafters. So because you're building your roof yourself, and I can see even though your roof is gabled, you can kind of put some reinforcing in there so that you just say you're 6'3", so if you stick your arms in the air, you're going to be, that's like what, 10 feet roughly?
Not quite, but like 8 feet. Yeah.
It's
well
pretty
over
high
8
up.
feet. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So what I'm saying, like, you're going to need about 10 feet of clearance because you're going to be able to jump up there. You got to have room so you're off the ground. Yeah. So that's like the bar's got to be like 10 feet in the air. Okay. So I'm just saying, like, you can reinforce it though and say, okay, well, this is where you could hang a pull-up bar and that kind of thing. Or if you want to hang it from the wall, I don't like pull-up bars that are attached to the wall.
Yeah.
Because if you start kipping or something like that, you're going to hit, potentially hit the wall.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, it's just like little things like that you can kind of plan for and war game for a little bit if you're building it yourself, as opposed to if you do what most of us do with our home gyms, where we're basically repurposing a space that was originally designed to hold, your washer and dryer in a car or something like that, right? So that's an advantage. Now, out of the plans you have, which one is the one that would you say is the most popular plan that people order?
Yeah. So I just launched the plans like a few weeks ago, so I don't have like a huge volume of sales yet to say like, oh, this is the one, by the data. But from the market research that I did ahead of time, I would say like 12 by 16, that middle size that we have. Again, we have 12 by 12, 12 by 16, 12 by 20. A 12 by 16, just under 200 square feet. That's kind of the most popular size. And honestly, even in my 12 by 20 here, I've got like a home office that's going to go in kind of the last 4 feet or so of the shed here. And then as I've had my home gym set up, it's not set up right now, but as I had it set up here, I'm really only using about 12 by 16 anyways. And I basically got, a squat rack and some cardio equipment and like some dumbbells and stuff. So I keep it really simple, kind of try and use the space efficiently, but 12 by 16, you can fit a lot of stuff in there.
So the thing is, like, I think part of the reason why it's so popular is because, again, people are trying to, especially if it's in your backyard, people are kind of trying to fudge because they don't want like the tax assessor to kind of notice it. So if you make it so that it looks like the rest of the house, that's one of the things. Like they always say, like so it's basically an accessory dwelling unit, right? So if you have an ADU, you want to make your ADU look like the house, so that it looks like it belongs there. Because if it stands out, the tax assessor comes by. Here he comes by once a year. He sees it. He's like, "Oh, what's that?" All right, and now that's going to affect your taxes. So it'll be interesting to track how many people, because I'm assuming you're going to get like feedback from your customers or whatever, and say like, how many of them come back and say, whether this affected their taxes or anything like that, especially if somebody's building one so that they can train people as part of a business.
Yeah.
Because the first thing they're going to ask you, well, what's this right here? Right. And say, all right, is this some sort of income? Because, your local government, I promise you, is very interested in increasing your taxes if they have the slightest bit of any excuse will do. Got some questions for you here. First of all, we got a little bit of a dispute. So tattooed saying, so he's in the UK. He said his concrete, so he built his, you actually saw his gym, the build. It was in the questions I sent you. So yeah. So he said the concrete pad was fun, his slope garden. He had a hand level, and he had 4 tons of concrete base that he had to put in. And he also was telling Eric that his shed is the best. Okay. Well, we're going to test that theory out in a second. But before we do that, Dennis has a question for you. He wants to know if you're finishing the walls in your shed, specifically with drywall service.
I am, yeah. I've got all the drywall up now. I'm just up to mudding. But I've got insulation in and electrical in, and now I got the drywall in, and then I'm going to do like kind of like a stained pine for the ceiling. I think that'll look pretty cool. So I'm getting close to finishing up the build here to where it'll be kind of a really nice finish. I've got like rubber flooring down in the whole thing, and just a really nice finished space. It's all climate controlled. Right now, you can't see it, but I've got actually just an extension cord running to a window AC unit to keep it cool for right now, but I am planning on putting like a mini split in here and everything.
All right, so you got a seal of approval because he says R13 insulation is good job.
Yeah, man.
That's a thing that that's going to be a question that we discuss, talking about like how do you heat and cool this thing, because you're in Kentucky, so it's fairly hot. I don't know what part of Kentucky you're in, but it's not, I'm sure it's humid like it is in Georgia in the summertime, and then it gets stupid cold in the winter, because every time I drive through Kentucky, if I'm on my way to Ohio or whatever, like we used to go to the Arnold all the time, you drive through Kentucky and it's like ice everywhere. So it's like, it's the worst of both worlds. This is awesome. But because Matt said that his shed is the best, we got an expert. Cody, you're the subject matter expert here. We're going to get you to rate Matt's build.
Oh, man.
Okay, so here we go.
Start with the garden before any work had begun. What we did was peg out an area of the size that we wanted and then started to dig. All of the foundations were dug by hand by myself, Chris J. Holden 87 and my dad. We added a total of 2.5 tons of concrete to the bottom of the garden to create a decent foundation for what we were going to be lifting inside the gym and to make it nice and strong. We have increased the height as well. The building was a design that I came up with and passed on to a local shed company who fabricated the frame. We then obviously had to assemble it. The electrics on the inside were actually installed by myself and my dad as well. We have painted the floor and the concrete just to add an extra seal and weatherproofing to the inside of the shed, and then we added the horse stable mats as a piece of advice from Garage Gym Life Media.
All right, so the first thing I endorse is that he took my advice. So let's start there. All right,
listen to the man.
Horse stall mats. Another thing that I noticed, because I'm a professionally trained investigative journalist, I actually went to school. I got diplomas right here. All right. And I noticed that he said he did the electrical work himself. So I interpret that to mean not up to code. All right. Because he's not he's not an electrician. So what I want to know is, what do you think of his build? And is there anything, go ahead, we'll just tell him not to listen so you don't hurt his feelings. Is there anything you would have changed about that?
Dude, that
design?
It looks epic, man. It looks amazing. It looks amazing. The concrete, great job on that, framing out. I worked for a concrete crew when I was 17, 18, and it was a great experience. The biggest thing I learned is that I don't want to do concrete for the rest of my life. It's a lot of hard work, man. So way to go on that. It looks amazing. The electrical, actually, I did the electrical in mine myself as well.
Also not up to code.
Well, it's all about the amount of research that you put in to make sure that you do it right.
We're actually talking about actually running. You're running like, so what I'm saying is, like, do you have like PVC? You have conduit that you're running through there and everything else?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ran electrical, put in like a sub panel, and then that goes to outlets and lights and switches and everything. And I don't know, like all of like the US, like depending on where you live, the city, the county, the state, there's different municipal codes and different requirements. I think most states, especially like Kentucky where I live, are pretty willing to let homeowners do their own work on their own property. Is actually legal. You can pull permits for all that stuff yourself as the homeowner. The one stipulation for that is it has to be residential and it has to be your primary residence. So if you're doing it for a commercial, commercial use, then all of a sudden you have to have like a license for that type of stuff. So you may have to have a licensed contractor do certain parts of the build, or like some of the, plumbing, electrical, whatever kind of stuff. If you're planning on using it for commercial purposes, which, if you're training other people or whatever, that would be probably considered commercial. But the dude, that looked amazing, man. Good job.
So Matt defends himself. He says, "You don't know what I am." He said, "I do electrics." I'm like, okay, so he says he does electrical work. The only bit of electrical work we've ever seen from him is that video. Okay. And he says, "My old video." I'm like, "Look, dude, you messed up and gave it to me. And so it's permanently out there on the internet in front of everybody. And I'm going to drag it out every chance I get." Jared wants to know what part of Kentucky you're in. He's in Louisville.
Yeah, man. I'm in northern Kentucky. We're practically neighbors. I live in northern Kentucky, just south of like Cincinnati, greater Cincinnati area. I'm about an hour and a half from Louisville.
Okay, so I interpret that to mean you're going to be at Home Gym Con next year.
Let's go. That was in Columbus?
No, Home Gym Con's in Louisville.
It was in Louisville. Yeah. Okay.
It wasn't. It was in Indiana the first 2 years at French Lick. Okay. And then Jake moved it to Louisville. So it's going to be in Louisville for the first time this coming year in end of June 2025.
Yeah,
end of June in 2025 it'll be in Louisville.
I would love to. I kind of, just started getting into this like home gym content space in the last 6 months. And so I started following you and like following all of your content from Home Gym Con. It looked like a big party over there.
Oh yeah, man. So there you go. So that's another thing I like about you. He watches all the videos. All right. I'm not saying that I need y'all to be just like Cody, but I'm not saying it. All right. So so let's see here. He says he's got a full sub panel armored cabling, individually fused plugs, and he's got surge protection sockets. That's great. But you know what you don't have, Matt? Air conditioning. Let's talk about that now. Because I know, obviously, because of doing this, there are a large number of people who I know, and actually some of them even have videos they've submitted home gym tours to put on the channel. And they're universally, people in sheds don't have AC. Is it just that big of a headache? Like you don't want to do it? I mean, why not even a window unit? What's the deal? Why not?
A window unit's really simple. That's what I've got right now. I am planning on putting a mini split in here. But for right now, even before I got the electric and everything hooked up, I just ran an extension cord from my house, plugged it into a window unit in one of the windows. And it makes a big difference. But I think a lot of people don't, just the extra steps of like insulating it and then getting, heating and cooling and whatnot. I was out here in January when it was the coldest day of the year. It was like -10 degrees. I didn't have, it was like -10 degrees. Didn't have insulation out here. I had like this little propane heater. And so I would like do a few steps. Like try to like warm up my toes again. It was more like the principle thing. I just wanted to say, like, try to prove how hardcore I was. But yeah, so I think just the hassle of like insulating it, whatever, it seems daunting to people. But it's really, a window unit's like the easiest thing. Now, it may not be like the most energy efficient, depending on the size of your shed and stuff, and a window unit doesn't provide heating too. So like the mini split, you've got heating and cooling. But mini splits are more involved. You've got, vacuums to pull and, but I haven't actually gotten to installing mine yet. So you can ask me later after I install it, how difficult that was. But talking to some other people that have done it and like done the DIY route, it doesn't seem too overly complicated. Obviously I built this whole thing. So I'm kind of like the type of person that's like, hey, I can figure it out. Like, there's the hardest? There's a YouTube video out there that's going to show me how to do it.
So here's the thing though. The big reason why I always talk about like the air conditioning thing isn't really because of just your personal comfort. It's also for your equipment.
Yes.
Because when you're in a very humid area, if you don't have some sort of climate control, your the humidity is going to affect the lifespan of your equipment. You're going to have more rust, especially somewhere. So if it's really humid, obviously if you're somewhere like Vegas where it's just dry, you don't have to worry about it. But you'll have other issues. But I'm just saying, like somewhere like where we live, here in the South, where it's very humid, you're gonna have issues with the equipment sweating, and all that is gonna lead to rust. So that affects the lifespan of, maybe not your bars in terms of how long they just last, but you mentioned like Olympic lifting, right? Well, the bearings are more likely to rust and seize up. So now you don't have the spin isn't going to be as good on your bar because of, just because of something that's preventable. And you're like, well, what does it matter? I'm like, well, I don't know. If you got $1,000 Eleiko bar, how much do you think it's worth it to spend? And that's not even the only expensive thing, right?
Yeah,
$1,000 Eleiko bar,
it's expensive stuff.
$5,000 on a power rack. I want to protect it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Matt said he classes as endurance training. You go right ahead and be tough, and I respect you completely for your toughness, Matt.
Get a big fan at least.
Something. I mean, that's just what I'm saying. Because, like I said, a lot of the people who I know who have shed gyms, like they don't have any sort of climate control, and so they deal with humidity. And then in the wintertime, if it gets cold enough, you also have to again deal with the temperature changes. So you go in there with your space heater, right? You heat it up. Well, now the equipment's going through the temperature fluctuation. And I'm just like, why not just, it may not be as bad for you because you've got the insulation, but I'm just saying those are the things I think about, like in terms of protecting the investment.
And the insulation's really, even if you don't do all the drywall and the finished stuff, just get insulation in there so that you have, some kind of protects that fluctuation and kind of climate control a little bit. It costs a few $100. Insulation is not that expensive, and it's not that hard. Get yourself a stapler, get yourself some rolls of insulation, and get after it.
So Eric said his is trenched electric, got Ethernet, got heater, mini split, fully insulated, and he says it's nice when it's like -20 or when it's 100 degrees. That's what I'm talking about. You like if I'm gonna be out. So it's one thing to be tough in the garage. Like, all right, well, it's designed for a car. But if I'm the one building it on purpose, that means I know I'm going to be out there. Why would I on purpose make myself miserable? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not? And you're already going through all of this stuff to put in a 12x16, 12x20 structure on your property. I promise you putting that extra stuff in there isn't going to help you with your taxes. It's not at all. Okay. So you might as well make it comfortable, because at some point down the road, you can potentially, like you said, you're going to put an office in there.
Yep.
I'm going to turn it into something else. Yeah.
Electronic equipment and a computer, and I do photography professionally. So I've got all my camera stuff and whatever. So, obviously I want a space that like all of my expensive fitness equipment and all my expensive electronical gear and stuff is all going to be well protected. And so I thought the extra work is not much.
100%. Let's see here. So Dennis said, yeah, it does matter. He says 3-in-1 oil. Dude, I'm telling you, it's just, hey. And Eric says, keep it at 55 in the winter and 70 in the summer. Yeah. I'm just, again, I'm a fan of, it's not necessarily for the human body is adaptable. It's more about the equipment and protecting the equipment, because I want my kids and grandkids to be able to use it. And I want my grandkids to be able to use whatever I have and give it to their kids when they grow up. So.
Yeah, it can last. That's a great perspective.
Now, what if somebody already has a shed and they want to convert it from a shed for garden tools into a workout space? Maybe even add on to it a little bit or whatever, right? How complicated do you think that would be, like based upon your research? And if they're doing that, what would be like first steps you'd recommend?
It's a great question. I've seen some great builds of people doing that on the internet, on Facebook groups that I'm in, and on YouTube. You can definitely do that. I think like the first question I'd ask is, what do you want to do? Like, what kind of training? Like, are you lifting heavy? Or if not, then your standard floor framing is it might be fine. It might be fine. If you're doing a lot of like just calisthenics, body weight stuff, some light, dumbbell, barbell work, but nothing like too crazy heavy, then you're probably fine. You probably don't have to do any reinforcement. Obviously, take the man's advice, get some shed stall mats, some horse stall mats or whatever, some gym flooring in there. And if you are planning on lifting heavy, that's where, you want to kind of do some additional probably reinforcements to the floor, ideally under the floor. Now, just there's kind of two main things when it comes to like the weight ratings for floors that are the biggest factors. So one is the actual boards and the framing, like how thick the lumber is and how far apart the spans are, or how far apart the spacing is between the floor joists and how far they are spanned without supports underneath. All of that, is going to affect the strength of the floor. So you get bigger lumber closer together and spanned, shorter span, so it's supported, every 4 feet or every 6 feet instead of going 12 feet long in between supports. So all of that's going to add up. So if you can get under your shed and add additional supports, that's going to help. Even put some cross members maybe underneath, across perpendicular to your floor joist. That's going to add a lot of weight, support. But then, so the actual lumber and framing, but then what's under that, the actual foundation of the base, if you have a really strong framed floor, but you just set it on the grass, it's not going to actually have the same strength rating as if you have a compressed, dry, hard surface, like removing that sod, making sure that you've got at least like 4 inches of gravel for draining and things like that, and then putting some kind of like blocks, concrete blocking or something like that under it. Even that is going to add a lot of support rather than just dropping that flat on the grass or something like that. Really want to make sure that you've got a stable, compressed surface. And I say compressed because basically any weight that's going on there is going to push that down into the grass. And as the grass that you laid it on dies, it's going to rot and compress. So you want to take the sod out first and make sure that you put on gravel. That's one of the biggest things I would say. But reinforce that underneath if you can. If you want to lift heavy, make sure that you have a good base under it of gravel and probably some concrete blocks or something like that. And then you can also put on top of the decking, run like an extra layer of like 3/4 inch plywood. And that's going to actually add a lot of what that will do is that will help spread out the weight so that any weight, that you're staying in one place with heavy weights, an extra layer of plywood running maybe like the opposite direction is going to just spread that weight across all the different floor joists. And that is going to, also help preserve the strength of your floor.
Nice. Something that I noticed that Matt said in his video is he came up with the plan, right? But then he gave it to a local manufacturer who built it for him and then delivered it, right?
Yep.
So this kind of goes into the next question about the SWOT analysis.
Right.
I wasn't actually thinking about it when I wrote the question, but it kind of works out. Because it seems like there's an opportunity there for collaboration. So, for example, Dennis, who's in the chat, he does what another guy, Travis, who I've had on the show as well. They'll get contracts from, let's say Body Solid, right? So let's say somebody buys equipment from Body Solid and they don't want to put it together themselves. They can hire Dennis to put it together for them.
Yep.
Okay. So now I'm thinking it through because Matt said he did what he did. You seems like you have an opportunity to say, okay, well, we've got a contractor in your area who we trust to do the plan. So this is the building plan. You show it to them, and then we know that they can put it together. Have you thought about maybe kind of setting up like support networks for people? Because everybody's not going to want to, go out and build a shed in their backyard, but they may want a shed gym in their backyard too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question, John. That's something I've thought about as well. Going the DIY route like I did is not for everybody. I think there's probably a lot of people that are like, oh, a shed is exactly what I need, but there's no way I'm going to build it. So I want somebody to build it for me. I don't have the time, but I do have the money, and I just want to buy it, install it, and then I'm good to go. I can start working out. So while I've have the DIY plans as like downloads on the website right now, my kind of next phase that I wanted to go into, and I have like a contact form if you want on the website. If somebody's like, hey, that's exactly what I want, but I don't want to build it, have a contact form, and then my next phase of the business is to kind of build out a network of local builders that can fulfill that contract, so they can actually go build it for you. So I can pair up people with a trusted builder in their area. So I've kind of like explored some different options, whether I, find a local contractor near you, you put your location and say, hey, I'm in, Charlotte, North Carolina, or wherever you're at. And then I, do some research, contact some builders, find somebody, kind of do all the legwork, pair you up with them, and they kind of come and give you a quote and put it together for you. Or whether, if I have enough demand that I can take a whole list of people and say, hey, National Shed Building Company or something like that, I've got a whole list of people that want my designs. Would you guys fulfill these and ship these and build these? If they already have the national infrastructure for building and delivering sheds, then it makes more sense to partner with somebody. People have asked me like, hey, would you build the shed yourself? I'm like, I could, but I don't really want to get into like a construction business and all the overhead, especially when there's people that are already out there doing that. And
you'd have to get extra insurance and all that.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. That's really involved. So I don't want to be, I love doing stuff, projects and stuff, but I don't want to like be a construction contractor.
Gotcha. Yeah. So let's see. So Dennis says Home Depot has opportunities for contractors, but they want licensing. It sounds like you'd be like Angie's List, but for home gym, for shed gyms, right?
Right.
Eric is talking about his shed. He said he built his on site with 8-foot walls facing south, 2 huge windows. Here's what you need to do, Eric. I want you to post that picture on Instagram. Of the outside of your shed, because if you guys go to Eric_Echols on Instagram, you'll be able to see inside his shed. But I have not seen any pictures of the outside. So post one of those on Instagram and tag me. And then that way I'll put the link to it in the description of this video. That way everybody can check it out. So he says it's basically a detached room of the house. So that goes back to what I was saying, is like you want any sort of building that you put on your property to look like the house. It's got to look like it was built, like they were all built at the same time. Thomas says he definitely has zero ability to go down the DIY route. So it sounds like he's going to be hiring a contractor. I recommend the same contractor that helped Matt. So there you go. Since I don't know how far you guys are apart from each other, but England's not that big a place, man. You could, heck, you ran across Scotland, Thomas. So how big can the place be? So yeah. And Eric said he will do that when he gets home from work. All right. So there we go. So we got that hooked up. So let's go back to the SWOT analysis for you. What would you say are for anybody who doesn't know what a SWOT analysis is? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What would you say are the weaknesses and the opportunities for backyard shreds over the course of the next 5 years?
Yeah. One of the weaknesses also plays into that opportunity, which is that, my current offering is all very DIY centric. And so the weaknesses with that is, one, not everybody likes DIY. Not everybody wants DIY. And then 2 is more from like a business perspective. DIY is not usually a great way to make a good income, because people are usually doing DIY because they're on a tight budget, which means that they don't spend money as freely as other people. So, if you want to sell to customers who have lots of money to buy the things that you are selling them, like the DIY space is usually more like budget friendly, budget conscious. So kind of trying to balance that with, like, I obviously love the DIY. That's where my heart's at. I want to provide the resources for people like me that are trying to do the same thing, and that's where I started. But I also want to have some sort of like high ticket price items that, that will ultimately pay the bills a little bit better, because, to make the same amount of money, if I'm making $2,000 on a building, selling like the sale of a shed or something, versus $200 on a download or something, I just have to sell a lot more of the downloads, which means I have to have, in business terms, like lead generation. I've just got to get a lot more eyeballs, a lot bigger viewers, a lot more lead generation, a bigger funnel at the top to actually convert enough people buying, my lower price items of those digital downloads in order to actually make a decent income. And so that's like one of the weaknesses, so to speak, if I'm trying to like make a living doing this. then sort of balancing out the high price ticket items and the low price ticket items. So that's why I'm kind of like getting into YouTube, and I've seen other kind of people in the like shed building space and the home fitness space and whatnot that seem to be fairly successful in like selling digital products. And but it does take a while to build a big enough viewership that actually trickles down into sales to make enough money to live off of doing that.
I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, it's like, so I was watching an interview with Dave Tate and Mark Bell, and they were talking about how, like, he said for them, it's like, for Dave, he's like, for Elite FTS, it's like, how many steps does it take to get you to the website to buy something?
Yeah.
And he's like, with YouTube, it's difficult. There's a lot of steps to get from YouTube to the website. From Instagram is one step. But even with Instagram, it's like you still have to convince people to leave the platform to go to your site, right? Unless you're selling a thing that you can sell in the Instagram shop.
Yeah.
And I'll just be honest with you. Let me just see here. Just because I want to be fair. I don't want to make this up. I don't want, I don't want y'all saying that I just kind of pulled this factoid out of the air. But I got see here. Last St. Patrick's Day, I ordered something from Instagram, and that's the kind of thing like where it makes me not want to buy stuff from Instagram. And that thing still hasn't arrived yet. Ooh. It was like a pullover. I ordered it for St. Patrick's Day. I saw this. Oh, that's cool, right? Let me order it, right? And yeah, so they got my money.
Like a scam?
I guess they've got my
scam, John?
They've got my sweater money. So I'm like, I don't. And then when I reached out to Instagram, I'm like, hey, get them to refund my money. They're like, oh, we can't help you. We suggest you contact the seller, right? So that's the thing about like, so people know that's out there. So as a result, people are hesitant to purchase off of Instagram. I think that people are more, for some reason, they're more comfortable purchasing off of TikTok. But I'm not a TikTok person, so I just know my wife isn't.
I'm not
TikTok,
either.
so she's like, but women like TikTok, and so they'll go on there and they'll see the thing, and then women are more likely to want to purchase stuff off of social media as well. Whereas guys will see it, and we don't want to buy. We don't buy the thing. We just look at it. Oh, that's cool. Then we'll talk about it with our friends. Then we'll send it to our friends, right? But we never get around to actually clicking the link because it just doesn't occur to us to actually do that.
And that's the weakness too, John.
Women click the link. Yeah,
that's the weakness too. Is that the whole shed thing that I'm selling, whether I'm building it for you or you're building it yourself and downloading the plans, it's not something that people just buy on a whim. Like that sweater, you saw it, you said, "Oh, that looks cool. I want it." Click, I'm gonna buy it.
And St. Patrick's Day was coming up. So
yeah.
Like, oh yeah, there you go.
A shed's like something that's like it's involved. Like you're committing to like a construction project or like a big financial investment or whatever, and you're figuring out like do I need permits? And so there's a lot of planning involved. So it's sort of like the actual buying cycle is like people are going to see it probably this year and take a few months to like think about it and go, yeah, that's exactly what I want. And here's how I'm going to do it. And before they actually get around to actually buying it,
Yeah.
So it takes a while to kind of drum that
So it's
up.
like for you, it's like how many times does somebody have to see the video, see the post, see the ad before they make the decision to buy the thing, right? And it's like that's like part of like I guess it would be like the market analysis of how many times do I, like what they call it is like the earn cost of each customer.
Yeah,
I think so. It's basically like how much do I have to spend either in sweat equity or in marketing dollars to get somebody to buy this thing. And that's how you decide whether it's worth the, like whether your strategy is working or whether to pivot. Right. But I think that there is an advantage for you because as people start using your plans, it's usually fairly easy to get people to send videos and pictures.
Yeah,
after
exactly.
They build it. Hey, thanks to Backyard Shreds for my beautiful new, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing is like people that build something themselves, like they're proud of it. Like people, that's what I love about like the home gym community in general is like people love their home gyms. They love sharing pictures of their home gyms. They're just super proud of the thing that they put together. And that's why I wanted to build like a really strong brand So it's like if somebody just buys like a Tough shed and puts a squat rack in it, they're probably not like, hey, like this is a Tough shed. Like I'm so proud of my Tough shed. Like, you know, they're proud of their gym, but like the shed's just sort of like a thing.
Yeah.
But like hopefully with the Backyard Shreds, it's like, no, like this is more than just, you know, some shed that I picked up somewhere. You know, it's like it's something that I built myself. It's a dedicated home gym. Like I'm a part of something bigger. And so that's like the idea of hopefully building a strong brand behind the product with Backyard Shreds in general. And you know, the thing with the brand too is like, it does take people a while. They have to see it multiple times before they commit to buying. And so the stronger your brand is, then hopefully when people do get actually ready to buy the thing, you're the first person that comes to their mind. You're the first
like
brand
the Starbucks effect.
Yeah, exactly.
So people don't even
coffee.
I'm gonna go get coffee. I'm gonna go get Starbucks
because of that brand. Yeah, exactly.
I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, Cody, man, this is really cool. We got one more comment. Says Dennis says more work is required up front for low cost services if you're serving the masses.
Yep.
And that's 100% because it's like I heard another thing, one of those business classes you take, and I was in the class and the guy said you can go broke trying to be the low price leader,
right? Because
you end up low pricing yourself out of business.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of still have to have like establish a value and all that. But anyway, let's say somebody's watching this and it's next year and they're like, man, this Backyard Shreds thing is where it's at. Yeah. Where can they reach out to you if they want more information? I got your Instagram to, you know, follow at Backyard Shreds on Instagram.
Yep.
And I know there's backyardshreds.com. Is there anything else that I don't know about that you want to let people know that they can use to reach out to you?
Right on. Yeah, I've got the website, backyardshreds.com. I've got, you know, cool like merch and gym flags and all the cool like fun stuff that we love. T-shirts and all that jazz. The building plans are there if you want to check out those and see more with what's involved. Backyardshreds.com is the website. I'm going to be creating a lot of YouTube content over the next year, Lord willing. So check out the Backyard Shreds YouTube channel. It's just Backyard Shreds, basically anywhere you go. I'm on most of the socials. So I'm not on TikTok. Sorry, any TikTokers out there. But I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram, all as at Backyard Shreds. So you can find me pretty easily. I'm probably the most active on LinkedIn, actually. Just really enjoy that platform these days. But I do post on Facebook and Instagram, and you can get a hold of me and in touch on any of those platforms.
Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you being here. I encourage everybody to go check out backyardshreds.com, and I will get that YouTube information and add that to the description here. So even if you're listening on Podbean, come to the YouTube channel and do me a favor and subscribe to my guy Cody on YouTube, Backyard Shreds, and help his business grow. Like I always say, even when we're talking about my channel, subscribing is free and it only takes you a second. So we appreciate it if you guys do that. All right, man. Cody, thank you so much for being here, man. Taking time out to talk to me. Yeah, man. We got to do it again. And I hope to see you at Home Gym Con next year, especially if you're a photographer. So you're really going to enjoy it because you have a lot of pictures. A lot of pictures and, a lot, not pictures, but things to take pictures of.
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff to take pictures. And I will say this too. Have you spoken to, I think there's maybe some intersectionality with Swing Sesh.
No. What's
all right, I'll give you the Swing Sesh elevator pitch.
What's the pitch?
Elevator pitch. And in fact, for anyone else who's watching this, I'll put the link to my interview with Swing Sesh on in the description for the video so you guys can see it and all that. But basically, Swing Sesh it's a fitness playground set. So it's let's say it's like the version they took to Home Gym Con had a squat rack. So you could be doing squats, and then on the other side of it, your kids are they're playing. It's like a normal swing set, but it's also set up to accommodate your weight equipment. So you could train outside with your kids instead of like in my situation, if I'm training in the garage, I have the garage door open. I have to like walk outside to check on my daughter, and she's got one of her friends over. I got to walk outside to check on them periodically. But this way you're actually out there with them. And so I can immediately see some intersectionality, like, and maybe some mutual. It makes sense mutually for you guys and Swing Sesh, and they're a really cool couple too. It's owned by their military family, so I think that I think you guys
I love it.
You got something in common there,
dude. That's that's everything I'm all about. Is just, and that's the whole thing. I'm passionate about home gyms. Really, the main thing. I've got little kids at home, and I don't want to have my fitness take me away from my family more than it needs to. And I want my family to be able to see me working out and set those examples for my kids. And they come in, work out with me. My wife comes in, works out with me. And so I love that, the whole idea of like stronger families in every sense.
Nice. So I'm putting the link to Swing Sesh here in the live chat. So when I let you go, you'll be able to see it.
Sweet.
That way you guys will be able to see it right there. All right. So I just put that link right there. All right. And one more comment for you. And it says right there, Carlos said you got a new follower on the gram.
Hey,
so there you go.
Carlos.
So there you go. All right, my man. And then, so there's the Swing Sesh link right there for everybody. So they can go check it out. Well, my man, I appreciate you being here. Like I said, man. And we're going to say good morning to the West Coast. And then we're going to bring in the homie, Tiffany Longcor. And we're going to talk about fitness for gamers. I can't wait. Cody, hang out. And I'll let you go, but don't go anywhere. Be in the live chat and check this out.
I'll be here.
You'll enjoy it. Yeah, man. Thank you.
See ya.
See ya. All right. So as I just said, if you are just joining us, good morning. We've been awake from, since 6 o'clock this morning, but we are glad that you are here, whatever time you choose to join us. I am John Greaves III. I'm the founder of Garage Gym Life, and this is the Way Too Early for Friday morning show. It may be way too early, but it's never too early to get your weekend started off the right way with us. So if this is your first time here, go ahead, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and help me reach 50,000 subscribers. And if you are already a subscriber and you already know how awesome the content is and you would like to support the channel in another way, here's how you can do it. Hey, I don't want you to just watch this video. I need you to like, subscribe, and if you're already a subscriber, I want you to join our channel for 99 cents a month so you can help us improve YouTube for the home gym community. Okay, back to the video. There you go, 99 cents a month. There's a join button. Click that button, and you will be helping us. I mean, the money goes right back into the channel. It's things like I use it to buy microphones, use it to buy better equipment, but I cannot do all of that without you guys and your help. So if you feel led to do it, I appreciate it in advance. All right. Now, for everybody else, the moment that you've been waiting for, especially if you're a gamer and you like, all my life, I've been wanting a solution. Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. Well, help has arrived. It's in the form of one of your fellow gamers, Tiffany Longcor. Show your love, everybody. Yay! The crowd goes wild. The crowd goes wild.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, look at you. How long have you been awake?
Like an hour.
An hour. Okay. Now, you're still in Colorado?
No, I'm in Washington now.
Washington. Oh, you are on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So it's legitimately 6 o'clock in the morning.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning for me.
Okay.
So that's why I picked the last little slot when we were setting this up. I was like, there's no way I'm getting up at 3 in the morning?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you. So just so you know, the basic format of the show is I wake up in the morning and I yell a lot.
That's great. I got coffee. I'm ready.
That's pretty much it. All right. That's all it is. That's what my show intro is. My show intro
I listened to it.
You heard, you liked it.
Yeah.
I just want you to know what you're getting into. I wake up in the morning and I yell a lot. All right, there we go.
We're here. That's why I woke up with enough time so I could bring energy. Otherwise, if I had just rolled out of bed. How many times did you
watch the show intro? You got to watch it a bunch of times and that gets you up.
I watched it a couple times because you sent it to me after the podcast we did together.
Yeah, I was like, let me just go ahead and brace yourself. All right.
Yeah, we're here.
All right. So let's for the sake of people who don't know who you are, shame on every one of you, by the way, because you should have watched my interview I did with Tiff before. But let's say they haven't seen it. Go ahead and just tell people real quick, elevator speech, who you are and what you do.
I'm Tiffany, and I am a coach, and I specialize very much in people who work out from home and kettlebell athletes, from kettlebell sport to people who just like want to learn how to use kettlebells and steel maces and fun, unconventional equipment.
All right.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to do this, and so I was prepared with my follow-up question, which is, how come you didn't mention any of your records?
Oh, it's early.
Hold on a second. I'm just gonna do this.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I did just
start
break one
over.
too.
It's oh yeah, and by the way, you got some world records, right?
Also, I hold the living world record for bent press with a barbell. Also maybe with anything, but yeah, I can do a 114-pound barbell bent press.
All right. And when we say world record, we're not like, this is not like, okay, well, this is like, like the all-time world record in my federation or whatever. This is the most that any human being, that any woman has ever lifted in history, as far as you know.
Well, there's a woman named Kate Miriam Williams who is a strong woman, and we found a record of hers that was 56 kilos now. So that's what I'm working towards. I've done 51.8 as of a week ago. Okay. 2 weeks ago.
So,
I had a PR.
He sounds like the sort of person that was lifting back when, let's say, cameras weren't as advanced as they are now.
Yeah, and also they didn't track women's records like back in the day. Like they have like a bunch of men's records for the bent press, but they don't have that for
Arthur Saxon.
Women. Yeah, they have like the big ones, but they don't have women's records. Unfortunately,
Carlos has a very good question right there. We're gonna put that up there. I don't always listen to Carlos, but this time he gets to. I want to. Where's your Garage Gym Life banner? Carlos is like the Garage Gym Life banner police. He asks everybody to say.
I don't have one. I'm sorry. I have mine. I have my flag.
Okay.
But that's
Pitbull is on her wall, but
Pitbull's
Garage Gym Life is not. How many times has Pitbull had you on this show? Okay, let me just ask you that. How many times has Pitbull had you? I mean, I know you're famous. How many times has Pitbull had you on his show?
I don't think he has a podcast, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Scale or any? I mean, has he pulled you on stage? Anything?
No, I've never even seen him live.
Okay. That's how you know who your friends are. But I'm just saying. All right. Anyway, Carlos said you can grab one at Freedom Fitness Equipment Tip, and that is correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Joey says that's amazing about your record. Look at it. We've been talking for 3 minutes and we haven't gotten to any of the questions I sent you, which is all right. Because I know you like the randomness.
I'm random.
If you guys will go back and watch, and I'll link to the previous interview. I had to promise her I wasn't going to ask you any random questions because
it's all right.
I took you to a dark place. No. I didn't like seeing that. I felt bad for a while. Well, okay, at least after the show.
You didn't feel bad. You've been laughing about it.
No, I laughed at you, yes. But I laughed where you could see me laughing. And then afterward, I said, maybe that was a little bit excessive because I asked you, what was the one that set you off? Because I asked you like a bunch of questions in a row. And then finally, the last straw was when I said, would you rather wake up and suddenly have to do brain surgery or land a space shuttle?
Yeah, it's panic mode.
Yeah, she like straight panic. I was like, I had to be like, Tiff, you're actually not going to have to do this. This is a scenario. This isn't happening at all. Nah.
And it's just the idea of being responsible for that, for a life like that is terrifying.
We'll let you experiment on somebody who was like on death row. So they were going to go anyway. Yeah, so there you go. Now, more specifically, we're talking about the reason why you're actually here. You're a coach, but from what I remember, you were preparing athletes primarily for competition. So what was your motivation to try to introduce, that's a good word, introduce fitness to what could potentially be the least fit segment of our population, and that's gamers?
I mean, a couple of things. Like I coach a lot of people. Like I do I coach a lot of beginners and I coach a lot of people from all different strength backgrounds. I do coach a lot of kettlebell sport athletes, but I also coach, people who've never had coaches before. So like these are not like brand new things that I've thought of like workout wise. I've taught the Turkish get up and I've taught people how to use steel mace so many times over the past however many years. So it wasn't like a huge jump to do this. But also I think gaming in gamers is a pretty broad group of people these days. There's like 1.5 million games and 1.5 million different gamers, right? This is such a broad category these days. And I think it's fun. I love gaming, and I think it's fun to get to incorporate the things that I'm excited about in the programs that I'm writing. And that's really it. Like, I really was like how many references to different games can I put into a program? How can I make it entertaining for me as I'm writing programs?
I got you. I mean, so obviously you're a gamer and you lift, you train. So obviously there are gamers who train. I mean, you've got professional athletes who do Call of Duty and Madden. So they're technically they're gamers.
I mean, I don't even play either of those games, but like, I mean,
but I'm saying
lots of people game.
What I mean is
like Robin Williams named his daughter
like
after Legend of Zelda. Like, and Henry Cavill played The Witcher.
Okay, Henry Cavill, yes. I didn't even think about Henry Cavill. But I was
Michael
thinking,
Fassbender's
so now
trying
we're
to
gonna
make
go. You got like Jason
Assassin's
Momoa.
Creed.
Not Jason Momoa. Who's the guy? Golly, he was in he played Deathstroke at the end of the Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Golly,
I don't remember.
But anyway, so like they have like tabletop gaming nights in Hollywood. There apparently they're a huge
Vin
segment
Diesel
of
is a
actors.
huge D&D.
Yeah,
nerd.
they're definitely so. I get that. What I'm saying is like football players like to play Madden, they like to play Call of Duty, and I think it's because there's a difference between the well, they tend to be like aggressive people, you know.
No, I mean,
this is
like
also,
if your job is football, you're gonna go home and play fake football, like.
Well, yeah.
Be like,
because then you get to. So no, you're looking at the wrong way. All right, so let's say you're a wide receiver, right? And the coach doesn't throw the ball to you or doesn't call any.
Now you get to make the catch.
You go home and now you're the one there. Or you're like, man, that GM is stupid. You go home and you can build your own team. See, I know what
fire
I'm doing.
him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there you go.
Okay.
Because I mean, you got UFC fighters who play UFC, you know. And even when I was competing in kickboxing, I'd play K1, the K1 kickboxing game. You know, like it just I don't know. But let me tell you, when you said Gamer's Guide to Fitness, immediately I started thinking like, okay, Frogger and Super Mario and like, you know, games like that, right? So in my head, this is what's going to happen. This is what the program looked like. This is the first set, by the way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. We're just jumping.
Yeah, we're not
done.
No. We're not done. Yeah, okay, we're gonna do that. And of course you gotta, you know, what goes up must come down. So, you know, we're gonna do that a little bit first, and then now we gotta get down safely. Excellent technique getting down. All right, yeah, there you go. Nice.
Dodge roll.
All right, and there you go, and good, and there you go, and back down safely. And all right, now that was one. Okay, all that was
that guy
one.
In prison?
Yeah, that's what I like about that the most. So if you guys are watching, if you're listening to this, I just got the most awesome segment I got from @the_mid_dad, and I saw that and I was like, yeah, that's wonderful. Because my first question was, how did they catch that dude?
Yeah.
If he can do all of that, how did they possibly catch him?
He doesn't need to be in prison. Like he could have. Like he was up.
And also, who's holding the phone, filming it?
I mean, yeah, I don't.
I'm hoping it's a guard.
There's a lot of questions that raises.
Like, okay. But I also saw it. I said, you know what? That just I did that because I wanted you to see the level of research I put into my show.
I really
because I went and found that specifically for your segment. Okay. So there you go.
Thank you.
So Now that we've established that that's what everybody's going to be able to do after they do your training program.
Oh, that.
Yeah, what? You agreed. You said that's exactly what we're doing.
No,
Y'all heard?
yes.
Did y'all not hear?
Yes.
Did y'all not hear her
no,
say
you're
that's
right.
what
I
they're doing?
did. We're
Okay.
gonna be prison
I pay
strong at
attention
the
when
end of
people
my
talk.
gaming program.
All right, fine, Tiff. You go ahead and you describe the program since you claim that's not what's going on. Go ahead.
So the program is basically we're going to be focused on the Turkish get up, which is I think one of the like iconic kettlebell movements. And there's a lot of programs where you're doing a lot of Turkish get up, but there's not a lot of programs where you're getting to like build your Turkish get up. And I think that's a really valuable thing in kettlebell strength training. And then the steel mace, which I think is a really cool tool. And you see people using the steel mace, at least in my where I am on the internet. You see people using the steel mace, and they're just doing the really cool stuff. And you never see the beginning, you never see how you start. And so I figured, well, I will fill those voids, and I will create something where we're building up our Turkish get up, learning how to break down the movement and build it up and get better at it, and learning how to use the steel mace, because it's a cool tool that's like really, really rad to use, but also you only ever see the end product. You never see the building to get there. And so that's what we're going to be able to do at the end of this program. You're going to be able to rock out Turkish get ups, hopefully have a new 1 rep maximum, and then also be really confident with your steel mace movements.
Okay. One thing I think about with the Turkish get up is, so I interviewed someone we both know, so Beth Skwarecki, and she pointed out that the Turkish get up was actually like a strongman trick, right? It's just interesting to me that something that started out as a feat of strength, that I guess the bench press also, but it starts out as a feat of strength that they do to show how strong they are. Like, hey, look at this superhuman thing I can do that nobody else can do. I can do it. Now it's an exercise that people teach.
Yeah, and it's like a kettlebell like exercise. Like there's entire programs where that's like basically all you're doing, like simple and sinister is just Turkish get ups and swings.
Yeah. And
I see so many people being like, well, just do get ups, just do swings, but they don't really show you like if you're not great at it, if you're not good at it, how do you get better at it? And so I mean, obviously, if you're doing simple and sinister, by the end of it, hopefully you'll be better at it. But how do we break down that movement so you can actually feel confident in it without it being like super, like just like, I'm going to do 10 reps each side, which is exhausting. So we can break it down. We go, what are the pieces of this lift? How do we build those pieces of the lift? How do we find where our weak points are in this lift and get better at it?
I mean, I'm like, what are they doing in Turkey and why do they get up this way?
I don't, it's the, Eastern European thing is like a Bulgarian split squats.
We're different over there, yeah. Like, it's like, that's the first thing, I'm not joking, that's the first thing I thought of when they said, oh, the Turkish get up, and I saw it, because I didn't know what it was, and I saw it, I was like, Turkish get up, I'm like, what do they do? Why are they getting up like this in Turkey? This is horrible. But then I saw it, because when I first saw somebody do it, of course, it was the hardest way you could do it. So it was like them lifting another person. So it was a Turkish get up with a person. I was like,
the person.
I was like, this is insane. But since then, I've seen it, like the regressions, like where they teach you like what to shoot. And it's like, that kind of thing. So what are some, I don't know, what would you say would be like one of the most important foundational regressions that you teach in your program to help somebody master what seems simple, but really isn't, where you basically just getting up and you got to leave your arm in the air. But it's a lot more technically complicated than it sounds.
Yeah, I think breaking down the movement into the pieces is really, really important. So with the Turkish get up, there's a few different main parts. We're doing the Turkish sit up, which is not actually a sit up, it's a roll up. So practicing that specific piece of it, because that's where people tend to sit up and then they rock and then the bell gets all over the place. Then we have a kneeling windmill. So, okay, let's go from our Turkish sit up, and then we go a kneeling windmill. That's another piece that people tend to struggle with. We have an overhead lunge, and then we have a reverse lunge. And it's really what the Turkish get up is, and breaking it down into those pieces and building those specific parts and then being like, okay, let's put all of this together into one lift before going, okay, let's just go for it. And to be fair, in the first workout, you're just kind of going for it, but just so you can have a measure of where you are. So then as you go, you can see at the end, you go, oh, now it all makes sense.
You start out completely depressed, like there's no way. And then, well, that also begs the question, like, well, why didn't you pick something? Again, we're thinking about gamers, right? So the stereotype is that gamers are what they call NARPs, like it's a non-athletic regular person, right? But it's like if you think so, I'm thinking like, what's the guy, the Superbad, the kids from Superbad, like that's what I think of as like when you think the stereotype of gamer, like you know, not McFly, what's the guy thing, McLovin, yeah, McLovin from Superbad, right? So whenever you typically find somebody who's not fit, typically you start them with like an exercise that's not technically demanding, but maybe physically demanding. They build their GPP, and then you're like, okay, now I'm going to start teaching you some more technical. Now that your body is a little bit more physically educated, it seems like you started almost the other direction. Like I'm going to show you a very technically demanding thing, but in the process, you're going to get back in touch with your, this sounds weird, but you're going to get back in touch with your body. Yeah, you're going to build some kinesthetic awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the reason why you picked something that is so technically demanding?
Honestly, I picked it because people asked for it. Like
really?
I wish I had a more exciting answer, but the lifts I get questions about I get a lot of questions about Turkish get-ups, and I get questions about steel maze. So I was like, if I'm building a program, let me start with the thing that people ask me a lot of questions about.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, and when I see people getting into kettlebells, a lot of times, like on subreddits and on Instagram, you see people be like, do Turkish get-ups, and like that's like a thing. Even if it is a difficult movement, it's still a lift that people get recommended very early on in learning how to use a kettlebell. So, okay, let's do Turkish get-ups, and I'll show you how to do them so they feel good and don't feel like a nightmare every time you try to do them. Because when you first see a Turkish get-up, you go, what the heck am I doing here? Like,
yeah,
like what, like there's so many steps. How do I even begin? So we can begin very easily at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Where do we start? and I'll break it down and make it so people can learn how to do it. And then if they really want to, they can go do simple and sinister and be very confident in their ability to do so.
All right, so the thing is that apparently after you start this program, so when the program's over, you'll be doing this with the mace. That right there, that's exactly what's going to happen, because y'all heard her say she's going to make you proficient. So that's in my head, that's what's happening. All right, so how did you decide on 10 weeks though as the length of the program?
Also, like per request, I did a bunch of research.
I mean, as opposed to 12 weeks.
Yeah, well, I did a bunch of research on what people were like, how long people wanted to do programs for, and 8 to 12 seemed to be the sweet spot that people were interested in. It just create like wild for me because like I will do the same program for a million years, but apparently I'm an anomaly in that front. Oh, good, a backup follower.
I don't even know what to do with that comment right there. Carlos, thanks.
Thanks. if my main never gets hacked, I have my backup account. I have one follower.
Got you a head start. All right, good. All right. Also, let's see, those Turks really know how to get up. Also true. Yeah.
I don't remember where I was.
You were talking about the length of how you decided on 10 weeks.
Oh, and then I really just built the program out like how I would normally build out a program for any of my athletes, and 10 weeks was right. And it just sort of worked out that way. And I was like, cool. Yeah, I was like, well, let me build out what this is. Let me see what I can fit into like that time range. and 10 weeks worked. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's just work with 10 weeks then. If that's what's going to work for people, and that's what's going to work like for me as I progressed it, as I built it up. Rad. Perfect. And it works with what people had requested, because nobody wants to do a 20-week program.
Yeah. I mean, but here's the thing, though. Depending on where you start out, you might end up needing to go to stretch
Back
it.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I got to 10 weeks and I still,
I mean,
you know, maybe my right side is great. My left side's not so hot. So maybe I need to keep going, you know?
And I think the thing with like a good program, like a good strength program, is that it is repeatable. Like in theory, this should be a thing where you run through it and you go, okay, now I have a new 1 rep max. I can start at the beginning again and go, let me work with my new 1 rep max. And then I can build off and do the whole thing over again and progress again. Yeah.
So with that, do you plan to come out with a second edition?
I would love to
would
come
you
out
just
with
like
a second
guide people
edition.
and say, okay, you did that. Now I need you. Now let me recommend you go to this other program that I have, because again, this isn't your first program. You've been coaching people for a while, so
yeah.
You then say, okay, like, hey, you're ready for this now that you completed that.
I would really like to make a second edition. I'm waiting, at the moment to like get feedback from people on what they're interested in and what they like and don't like about this one. So I can build from there. But I would love that. The hope was with this like gaming theme was that I could be able to make second, third, fourth editions of different exercises, or maybe even progressing these exercises, and so people can keep pushing themselves.
I mean, I really do like, because I mean, I tell my kids too, that because they're all, we're all to some extent are gamers, and it's like if you approach your life as a video game, like you do a video game, it's like it's really just a series of trying to get better. And
yeah.
In
Well, that's the thing. It works.
You're trying to get better. You're leveling up.
Like,
yeah.
That's really it. Like, how do you get better at any sort of video game? How do you level up? What do? You have to do specific things to get better at it. And yeah. I'd like, that's it. Like, I was writing some of these workouts and I was like, guess what we're going to do today? We're going to do, sets and reps, because that's how we get better. And I have it themed, and I have it like every workout is themed after
like grinding
a video game reference.
You're like grinding out levels.
Yeah. Oh, I have all of the different workouts are named after like some sort of video game reference.
Nice. Okay.
All of them. And so they all have different video, and then there's bonus levels with like bonus other video games. So it makes it just more entertaining. It makes it more fun. It keeps you engaged as you're going through. But truly, this is a strength program. Like, this is a Turkish Get Up strength program. You're going to progress your lived, and you're going to learn how to use the steel mace effectively. And I think those are 2 really excellent skills to have if you're a person who works out with a kettlebell. Truly, that's it. Like, but you get to have some fun, and you get to go, oh, what is this? What is this reference to? Like, I have references from things from Kingdom Hearts to Baldur's Gate to Final Fantasy to Resident Evil, and like all sorts of different games referenced in there, to Mario, and there's different themes for different things. So like, if we're doing like a platforming level, it's going to be a lot more explosive strength, speed type work, because what do we do in a platformer like Mario or Sonic? We're working on speed and jumps and things. So that's what we're going to be doing in that sort of a workout. We have like horror or sneaking or stealth levels where we're going to stay on the floor, we're going to stay low, and we're going to be doing a lot of floor work, because what do you do in those games? And if we're doing like sword work, we're going to be doing steel mace things. So there's a lot of like, it crosses over a lot, like really easily. Like, it wasn't like a hard thing to like make video game references in that. And it makes it fun. Like it makes it fun for people to like look forward to it. And I'm hoping to like be able to add like achievements and things like that as well. So as we go, and as I learn how to build like programs on apps, so people can get like those little like gamifying things that you get as you play video games in a workout, which is fun.
So, actually, let me stop right there because I missed this earlier. Eric, I apologize because Carp jumped in here at 8:26 and said shout out to Icebox Shed Gym. But Eric, I am wearing your shirt, so there you go. You know, hey, don't be too mad, man. But I like to shout people out when they're in the chat. And with that, my guy Joey says we can progress to different levels, if you will.
Mhm.
So he's saying that, yeah. So in a video game, now you got me thinking about it. I always try to do as balanced a character as possible, unless I'm trying to, for some, like I don't make glass cannon builds. Just I just don't.
Yeah.
Occasionally I'll like say, okay, well, I remember I was playing Skyrim and I decided I was going to make a character and I called him Luke Cage. So all he did was punch. So I made his strength like so yeah, I had like a thing. So I remember I fought a dragon and I punched the dragon to death, right? But it was like just because I was like, hey, it's whatever. But in general, it's like my character builds always balanced. But
yeah, well-rounded.
Yeah, but it's so different from how people who are into training the way I train tend to be, because in order for me to be balanced, I had to go look for stuff outside of my chosen discipline. So like I can't do like even if you call it power building, shout out to Greg Santacero for coining the phrase, but even if you say power building, there's still a tendency to focus on like what they call like the show muscles, your beach muscles, right? The stuff that's in front of you. But training the way you train tends to kind of lend itself towards having a balanced build, because like, well, okay, so like when we're talking about reaching behind yourself, and when you interviewed me, link to that is in the show description, by the way. But when you interviewed me, it's like reaching behind. So the average power lifter can't scratch their own back. A ton of bodybuilders definitely can't scratch their own back. Okay, it ain't happening. All right, like I'm advanced mobility because I can reach back there like that, right? And then for you, it's like, oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
And it's partially because of how you train, But that being said, what have you learned about your own fitness from developing this program?
I mean, I really wish I could do everything, is what I learned. I wish because my programs, I tend to stay pretty focused in my personal programs. I was like, man, I wish I could do more heavy get-ups. And I wish I could do all of the things that I'm putting, like I could do all of these workouts, because I'm also training my own goals. And I think also just like a good program for anyone is going to be a good program. Like the things that I've learned about my fitness and the programming that I build for myself has definitely been applied in these programs, even though this is a general program, and like not for like a very specific person, which is more what I do. I usually do programming for like specific individuals. But the things that you're going to do for me, as I would say a pretty proficient strength athlete at this point, are going to be similar to what you do for people who are just getting into it, or intermediate lifters as well. Because it's gonna, you just take those building blocks and you use them for everything. The same things. You're going to do sets, you're going to do reps, you're going to do tempo work, you're going to do lower body and upper body. Like those are all the things that you're going to put into every program that you ever build.
Okay. Now you say that, but that's the thing. Again, it goes back to, and it kind of relates to a question I asked you, is like, where you're conscious about how you design stuff, because it's good programming. And my guy Jack Canberra out at 50 Barbell, he also does, like, he doesn't program any mobility work. Instead, he's like, just the way that we program the exercises tend to make you mobile. He says he's a good coach should program your training so you don't need to do extra mobility work outside of training, because that's why you came to training. So why would I need you to get in shape to do my my program? That's what I'm for, right? So I like that, but at the same time, there's also the tendency in most people to do the stuff that they're good at.
Yeah.
Which then leads to imbalances. So, I mean, it could be the bench press, right? But if you only do the bench press your entire life, you're going to eventually be out of balance. You're like, you'll have like one hip's going to be stuck that way or whatever, for whatever reason. Yeah.
Shoulders.
You're going to be walking around.
I'm just being packed in my leg.
And I'm picturing you at the grocery store like that, by the way. So, yeah.
That's why I can make so many friends.
Yeah, they're like, oh, yeah, they feel sorry for you. They're like, oh, hey, but I can lift 300 pounds with this side, okay? But for you, I wonder though, is it like, were you intentional in terms of trying to retain movement patterns that Western living normally allows to degrade?
I mean, I think the steel mace is gonna help that.
Or is it just happens because of what you do?
Yeah, I mean, like I think because of the lifts that I do for me personally, I think the bent press is, I know we're talking about it, but like that is a lift where you're in your back pocket, right? Steel mace back here, Indian clubs were back here. So I do just naturally a lot of lifts that benefit, even juggling, the kettlebell juggling. You do a lot of behind the back, you do a lot of lateral things. So I just naturally train those because those are movements patterns that I really enjoy to incorporate into my training. And also because when I started getting into kettlebells, the coaches and the people that I worked with put that in my head. Like, okay, if we're doing 100 reps of clean and jerks tonight, which is not an irregular thing to do in a kettlebell sport workout, we have to do something to balance that. So we're going to swing the mace so we can open up our chest again, because kettlebell sport is in this front rack position and it can very much put you in this rack position where you're tightening your chest. So let's open it up. And so let's do steel mace swings. Let's do Indian club swings. So that's just like been something that was drilled into me as a pretty young trainer and athlete. So it's something that I just naturally incorporate into my own training and also my athletes training as well. It's not something, it's just second nature at this point because it's just what I do.
So Carlos said gamifying workouts are so much fun. He says his kids love doing stuff like scoring points and leveling up. And Backyard Shreds says gamifying anything difficult is a brilliant way to make it enjoyable. Yeah, and I mean, anytime you're doing something that's like a miserable thing, so like for you, kettlebell sport, where you like doing like, especially like, long cycle or something like that, I would imagine that you've got to like play like little games in your head, just kind of say, okay, well, we're gonna do 10 more and then we're gonna rest, or whatever. Yeah. Like you just have like the things you do in your head. And
really excellent music.
Yeah. You're just like, all right, I can do this for one song. Then you're like, did I pick the longest song on the planet? No, whatever. Anyway.
Well, sometimes you do, and that's part of the plan. But like when I do like sport, it's just like 1 minute. I don't think about the next minute, or I don't like, for the beginning, it's like 1 minute. And then as you go, it's one rep. It's like, okay, I just have to do one more. Okay, let's just do one more. And then eventually it's 10 minutes of lifting.
Yeah. The thing for me, so when I think about that, it's just like when I was talking to Thomas earlier, it's amazing what people can like get themselves to do. Like once you get past the normal reaction, which is, oh, this sucks or whatever. But then you can actually convince yourself that anything is like fun. Like you train yourself to crave it almost, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, for me, I know I sent this to you. I said, one thing that's tough for me to remember, if I don't like on purpose, keep it in mind, is that every position we're in throughout the day is training our bodies to be in that position. So like I'm sitting in a chair right now and it's comfortable for me, but it's comfortable because I've been trained to do it since I was in school, right? So I actually started school early. So I was still in diapers when I started school. So let's say conservatively 48 years I've been sitting in chairs. But when you see kids go to school for the first time, they don't stay in the chair because it's uncomfortable for them. They get up and they move around. It's uncomfortable to sit still, right? Mm-hmm. So I literally have to say to myself, anytime I do like I practice a straddle stretch, or I'm sitting in the bottom of a squat, I'm like, okay, it's not that I can't do this. It's just I'm out of practice doing it. because I used to be able to do it, right? What do you have to remind yourself of in your personal fitness practice when stuff gets hard as you're pursuing your goals?
I think just moving with intention on every single rep is the thing that I get. I tend to lose as I go. I do a lot of reps. Like with kettlebell sport, I do, you're doing 200 reps in a workout, right? Even with my bent pressing, I do tend to err on the side of higher volume because that's something that really works for me and my body. But if you lose your focus partway through those training sessions, that's when things break down. So I think for me, it's just between sets, between reps, taking those breaths, going, okay, we have to move. And if I do like get messed up and I do lose the movement in the way that I like want to move it, taking that second, going, okay, what did I do wrong in that rep? How do I adjust so I can be better on this next rep, instead of letting it continue to degrade throughout a set? Because you do a lot of reps. So you have to staying focused throughout entire sets, because that's where you hurt yourself. And I don't want to hurt myself.
I agree. So I asked you that because people often take for granted, like they assume that coaches are fine. Oh well, especially like what's the thing is like when you've always been in shape, so you don't understand whatever XYZ challenge I'm facing, right? But I want people, it's like coaches struggle with things too. So what's advice that you can give as we close up for anybody watching who's struggling to reach a goal, or maybe they're just struggling with consistency, or they're trying to improve something in their life? What's some advice that they can take away from today that'll help them out?
I think doing something is always going to be better than doing nothing. You don't have to do everything. If consistency is the thing that you're struggling with, especially because I think when people have struggled with consistency, it's often because they think they have to do a whole thing, right? They have to do a whole 60-90 minute workout because that's what they see on the internet. You don't have to do that. If all you have time for is 10 minutes of swinging or whatever it is that you're working on, that's always going to be better than doing nothing. And that is how you can start being consistent. When I way back when I first started working out, and like working out is not what I was doing. I was walking on a treadmill. That's all I did. I woke up in the morning and I started with walking 15 minutes in the morning before I took a shower and went to work. And then it worked. And then I worked into 30 minutes of walking. And then it was like, well, let me just run a little bit. So you don't have to start with like the all in the all or nothing. So just start and just do something. And that something can build.
Okay. All right, so this is something that you were not prepared for, but you need to be prepared when you come on my show. You got to be prepared for the unexpected, right? So here's what we're going to do. I want you to rate my bench press, okay? Here we go. So I'm going to give you one. This is from when I was doing this. To be fair, I forgot in the heat of the moment that my wife's office was right there on the other side of the wall. So here we go. So I already see stuff I don't like, but look at it. There you go. Sorry. See how polite that was?
Yeah, it was really nice.
All right. So the first thing is, that arm that's in the air right now doesn't straighten out.
That was going to be the thing I was going to mention. Yeah, you don't lock out before you stand up.
So it's like my left arm doesn't straighten out at all.
Ever.
Injury. Never. It doesn't happen. But this arm can. My right arm can. And I still didn't, right? And I think the reason, so let's back up as I get free coaching. I think the problem is right there. Right? So I'm trying to lift it with my arm instead of pushing myself away from it as I go down. And so it looks like I get myself to the point where, okay, my arms got nothing left to give when I get to the top. And I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you fatigued yourself early too because you let the bar be super off balance as you started. I would wait for it to be straightened because when you first get it up there, you never wait for it to be balanced. You start pressing it off when the bar is at an angle.
Yeah.
And that's just going to make you work harder.
Yeah.
Which is, we know it's already a hard lift. Let's not make it extra hard because since you're already starting and the bar is at an angle, that's going to be part of the issues. If you start when the bar is balanced, at least straight on your shoulder, and then go, I think that will kick you off on a better foot. So then when you're you can get that angle, start pushing it off of your body as you drop down, and then it'll be easier to do the lockout. Also, you didn't go down very low as well. That might be a me thing because I go down pretty low when I do my deck press.
Well, do you have more of a squatted style as opposed to?
No, I do a hip hinge.
You do the hip hinge? Okay.
I do like a windmill.
Okay.
It's really windmilly actually. It's almost all windmill. But I like a hip hinge. I do a lot of deadlifts so I can build that hip hinge up and a lot of windmills. But yeah, because you kind of stop. It's kind of drop it down.
Okay. So that may sound like I was just getting free coaching advice, but well, that was actually a segue so that people could see how you coach. So they just got to see your coaching cues live on the internet right there. And then as a bonus, which I didn't expect, you were talking about your own, like the way that you actually do your own. And so that's incentive for them to go check out your Instagram. So I want everybody to go check out the Instagram and also go find the Gamer's Guide to Fitness, which is going to help them do all the things. But before we do that, I got a quote from Backyard Shreds. He said the quote from James Clear in Atomic Habits that's always helped me there. It says, better to do less than you hoped than nothing at all. And I think that's an excellent quote. Yeah. So with that being said, as I said, we just got a demonstration of how you coach right there. So if anybody is interested in getting you to coach them the way you just coached me, but of course more in depth, how can they reach you and how can they also purchase the Gamer's Guide to Fitness?
So I'm Tiffany's Fitness on all of the things. So you can find me on the internet, tiffnysfitness.com. Tiffnys.fitness is where I am with my Instagram, and you can check me out there and reach out to me and shoot me a message if you're interested. I also have a sale going on my website through the rest of this weekend. And that is 16% off of all of my products with code It's My Birthday. On my shop, and that also includes coaching. And so if that's something you're interested in, you just have to reach out to me and we can chat and get you set up. Gamer's Guide to Fitness is linked through every single thing that I have, but it's Ensemble, which is a web and app that you can access the whole program. And it's a 10-week program, 3 workouts a week, and it has video demonstrations for literally every single movement in the entire program by me, and hope you like it.
Nice. Okay, so again, my keen ear just heard something. You said so when's your birthday?
My birthday was last week. Last week? Yeah, it was last week, but the code is still going. I love the code.
Okay, I was about to say, because my birthday's on Sunday. So I was like, whoa.
My birthday was on the 24th.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute.
Our
birthday's on the same weekend? Okay.
The code I used was, it's my birthday. So but it's for the it's through the rest of this weekend, and then the Gamer's Guide to Fitness is on sale for the next week. So it's 20% off. So it's $179. And then the price will go up. So get it now because it's cheaper now.
All right. And if you guys would like to see more of Tiff, you can see like how, you kind of keep things light no matter, even when you're doing your own podcast, even when your guest tries to interview you during your own podcast, you still manage to maintain it. So
we
if you guys want to
keep it on path.
That's it. And if you guys want to check that out, you can subscribe to Tiffnys Fitness on YouTube. Go ahead and shoot her a sub, help her grow on YouTube. which also helps get the word out to more people, because as her channel grows, YouTube will start to recommend her to more people. So you guys help her out, help me out. You know what? It's my birthday coming up. So for my birthday, I want you guys to subscribe to Tiffany's Fitness on YouTube. Give her, that's a gift for me if you guys subscribe to her, okay? Because there you go. All right. Tiff, thanks for being here.
Yeah, happy
you had
to
a
be
good
here.
time.
Yeah.
Even though you woke up way too early. I hope you.
It's okay. I forgive you.
You don't really sound like it, but that's it.
It's okay. I've had a couple cups of coffee. I'm feeling good now.
Good.
So.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll let you get on with the rest of your day.
Yeah.
For everybody who is watching here, we made it through another one. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. We got another cool one coming up next week. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you're doing it. Subscribing is free. Subscribe to me. Make sure you subscribe to Tiff. Make sure you subscribe to Cody. Make sure you follow Tom on Instagram. I've got the links for you guys to do all of that in the video description. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for being here. Peace out.